All right, everyone, welcome back to Trackhouse Motorplex. We have a major announcement for you here for the CNC Performance Engineering KA100 Shootout. We have the leaderboard ready to be announced here to you right now. First of all, we knew the automatic top 10 that would transfer directly on into into tonight's shootout. That would be the top 10 drivers after qualifying in heat number 1. The totals of those drivers: Aiden Levy, Brandon Lemke, AJ Myers, Braden Eves, Dalton Haynes. Those are your first 5 seeds that have transferred directly in. Frankie Mossman is in. Paulie Massimino is in. Brent Cruz is in. Anthony Rivera is in. And Danny Formal is the 10th seed, automatically transferring after Heat 1 and qualifying points were combined. From there, we also added in the promoters' picks. And, well, in the panel of drivers, the panel of experts for the promoter deciding who all goes in, headed up by Eric Jones. Well, first up, they wanted to use a pick allotted to our sponsor, CNC Performance Engineering. They've selected Austin Garrison. He'll go in as the 11th seed to the KA100 Shootout. Then there's 2 more seeds that'll be going in off promoters' picks. Originally, there were 4. We've expanded it to 5 to make a 16-car field. The additional 4 more promoters' picks to go out of the 5. It'll be the drivers with the fastest lap times that did not transfer. Those go to Adam Brickley and Joe Turney. They move in as the 12th and the 13th seeds. The Kart Chaser fan vote will be the last one to go. In the interim, we've taken a panel of experts to get about 10 to 12 drivers that were close and probably big name guys that have not transferred in, and put them here in a jar for us to draw out of live on stream in front of all of you. So we're going to pull that up here so you guys can see exactly who is going to transfer in to the show. I'm going to shuffle the cards, look in front of the camera, put myself on camera here in a moment once it's pulled on up, and we'll let you see who is going to be the 14th and the 15th seeds into the KA Shootout. Again, the drivers that have already transferred in, I'll read back through one more time. We have Aiden Levy, Brandon Lemke, AJ Myers, Braden Eves, Dalton Haynes, Frankie Mossman, Paulie Massimino, Brent Cruz, Anthony Rivera, and Danny Formal. Those 10 transferred directly on in. CNC Performance Engineering, the sponsor of tonight's event, they have selected Austin Garrison as their promoter's pick. He moves in as the 11th seed. The 12th and the 13th place seeds, the 2 fastest drivers, the top 2 fastest from qualifying that did not transfer in off the top 10, Adam Brickley, Joe Turney. And now 2 more spots that'll be coming straight from a random draw of about 10 more drivers that did not make it in, that ended up just outside the bubble spot. The first name that will be joining the field in tonight's main event in seed number 14, Leonardo Escorpione will be going in to the KA100 Shootout. And one more, as we'll shuffle the deck one more time and bring out one more name. Our 15th and final of the random draw picks that'll be going in, Connor Ferris and the Team Ferris Racing Kart Republic will be going in. And finally, the 16th and final seed that will go in to the KA100 Shootout, presented by CNC Performance Engineering, comes off of the closed Kart Chaser fan vote, and your winner in the KC fan vote is Jordan Hernandez, and he will be the 16th and final spot in tonight's KA100 Shootout. More info to come. It will our KA Shootout races will start about an hour from now. Before then, it's time for 3 classes to get their Fast 5 shootouts underway. It'll be a 5-minute warm-up and a 10-lap race for the best 5 drivers from 3 of our support classes here to kick things off when we come back with on-track action.
classes getting ready for their warm-up for the Fast 5 Shootout.
Yeah, Alex, obviously here at the moment, the Fast 5 are on track for, I believe this is Micro Swift. And obviously the track layout has changed here for the Fast 5, as it will change as well for the KA100 Senior Shootout. So at the moment, we have 11 turns, a little bit of the back section that we did see, but there is no bowl here in the Fast 5 and in the KA100 Shootout. There's 11 turns, and there's going to be really good racing here.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of the track layout, just to walk you through it here, I mean, we got Park Arrives on our screen right now, but I'll walk you through what to expect here. Like you said, Caleb, so instead of a bowl turn here, we're going to come through. So that now we're back to the part of the racetrack where you are common to see, you know, turn 10, turn 11 here, around the final corner, and across the start-finish line here for Park Arrives, getting ready to start a lap here. So what we're going to do is we're going to follow Park Arrives, or at least Bowen Green, one of these drivers, through turn 1 here, climbing the hill towards turn 2, and then before you get to turn 3, they're going to make a sharp right hairpin here. So no more turn 3. We're going to cut all the way back to the exit of turn 6 here now, down towards turn 7, and then the hairpin in turn 8, right? So now it's going to be the hard braking hairpin in turn 8. And then instead of going through the double rights, that double right now becomes just a left-hander here, and then a short shoot up the hill back towards where we would see the short shoot for turn 5. And it's going to cut back now towards turn 8 and turn 9 on this short shoot of a racetrack, and then back towards turn 10 and the final corner. So basically we lose turn 3, we lose the bowl corner, but it makes a much different layout here on Trackhouse Motorplex.
Yeah, of course, Alex. This is a much more technical track than what we were seeing earlier on today. Before this race, we saw, obviously in the previous heats, we saw the back straight. Obviously a lot of towing and a lot of drafting was going on in KA100 and maybe even in these lower speed classes as well. We saw a lot of drafting, but throw that out the window now. We have a much more technical track, a lot of tighter turns. We have a hairpin down in turn number 3, and as you were saying, so we have the turn 3 hairpin and the turn 5 hairpin. So much more technical track for these guys. Obviously going to be maybe it's much shorter layout, but definitely exciting to see the racing that this track is going to bring out for us today.
Yeah, like you said, a much more technical racetrack than what we've seen, you know, from the normal layout throughout the day so far here at Trackhouse Motorplex. I mean, the biggest thing is we lose the biggest passing zone, in my opinion, on the racetrack, and that is the bowl corner in turn 4. That's because, you know, on a normal layout, you're going up the hill here towards turn 3, and then what would be downhill towards turn 4, you're flat. Oh, wow, Schneegeberg getting really close to the wall there.
Yeah.
But you would go downhill towards turn 4 there, and, you know, the draft would be much more of a factor. And this track, it still is a factor, right, because you have the long straightaway towards turn 1 and the straightaway down towards the turn 8 hairpin. But really, it's going to be a lot more about kart setup and then, you know, driving, right? It's going to be a much more technical racetrack, especially around here. This part of the track is, you know, not rubbered in at all, right? It's still going to be pretty slick around there. Still got a bunch of marbles these drivers are going to have to wash off. And that's what the main thing this warm-up is for, besides getting used to the racetrack.
Yeah, of course. So this warm-up, I think it serves as a little bit of a mini qualifying and warm-up for these guys, as they are going to go green after this round of warm-ups, I guess you could say, in the Fast 5. But another big talking point that we have here, Alex, there are barriers on the exit, as we're seeing on camera now. There are barriers on the exit of turn number 3 blocking off the rest of the racetrack. We saw earlier today, barriers really, I guess, ended a little bit the qualifying of Alessandro D'Attulio and really destroyed his kart. Obviously, they were able to get it back together, but barriers is obviously going to have a big factor to do. We are maybe going to see a couple of these guys push each other out wide, but it's obviously going to be a lot more critical when there's a barrier there on the outside wall.
There's a few corners here. I mean, the exit of turn 3, and then like you saw on the quick chicane there, the left-right chicane, there's some barriers in effect there that could play a factor if you're going side by side with somebody. I think we saw it last year. This is, I think, roughly the same layout, if not the same layout of last year's shootout. We saw a few drivers end up in this outside wall right here, and it's pretty easy to do. We saw Schneegenberg 2 laps ago get really close to it. So if you're side by side, it seems to be that, you know, drivers have the luxury of maybe putting you wide or into a barrier. So let's see if we see some of that tonight. But I mean, again, with this Fast 5 shootout, these are the fastest 5 drivers in each of the classes coming up, and Micro, Mini, and KA Junior. Fastest drivers through qualifying and the first heat get to compete here tonight for $500 later on in the shootout races.
Yeah, of course, and obviously the big money race here at the end of the night for the KA100 seniors, as we have these Micro Swifts coming in as the engines come to life for Mini Swift now. As we see, I believe at the moment, Lucas Palacio is going to exit the pits first. But let's talk about Joe Turney a little bit. Joe Turney was able to make the shootout here tonight. He made it through, I believe it was promoter's choice So Joe Turney made the shootout. Therefore, obviously, we had some of the KC fan votes as well. Some of the other guys made it through in our random drawing. Some other people, as we saw Sander talk about that earlier, many other guys have made it into the shootout. It's going to be 16 drivers going for the big prize.
Yeah, for the big prize tonight, like you said, the top 10 just on raw pace, on merit, made it through automatically through the qualifying and the first heats. But then through promoters' picks there, we had five picks, 2 of them of which were Brickley and Turney. They were the 2 fastest drivers through qualifying and the heat races, and that's why they got in. And then on promoters' pick, we saw, or at least through the cup, the random drawing, it was Leo Scorpioni and Connor Ferris. And then Jordan Hernandez actually won the KC fan vote. So congratulations to Jordan as well for winning the votes there. And it's going to be a big opportunity for Jordan to be on the national stage here. First time out of Florida for him, especially in a national event. So, really happy for him to be a part of this event tonight. But yeah, it's going to be a really, really exciting race with those 16 KA seniors.
Yeah, of course. Very good to see the youngster from Miami, the hometown kid in Miami, makes it out here to the national level. Obviously, IAME Grands, like we were saying before, Alex, one of the biggest events that we go to all year long. I think, and probably Supernats are really the 2 big events that we go to all year long. And IAME Grands, obviously, one of the big events because of the money involved. Money is what brings people here to this event. Like we heard with Paulie Massimino, what he would do if he won it, he'd quit. Obviously, I'd probably do the same if I was in that position, but we heard it there from Paulie Massimino and many of these other guys looking for that big prize this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just cutting to some of the on-track action we're seeing here in warm-up. We're just seeing Palacio and his teammate Pettit there, testing the braking zone there in the turn 3 hairpin, seeing where a lot of the grip is. I mean, this is kind of, like you said, this is more of a practice for what to expect in the race, right? So it's going to be a 10-lap race coming up later tonight here. But so far, it's a 3-car breakaway in this warm-up session. Let's see if a few of the other drivers like Bowen Green and I couldn't get a look at the other driver there in this top 5 Fast 5 shootout, but let's see if these guys can make it pretty exciting for us, right? Only 5 karts on track, but the 5 fastest guys in the Micro Swift class. That is Troy Ferguson, I believe. So, or Mini Swift class, should I say. So let's see if these guys can make it pretty exciting for us. With only 5 guys on the racetrack, but the 5 fastest in the Mini Swift class, and they put on a show for us in the first heat. They'll probably do more of the same tonight.
Yeah, of course. And we were talking about all weekend about Lucas Palacio and Travis Pettit. They went at it a little bit in the first heat here in Mini Swift. We saw them, play a little bit of gamesmanship in between the 2 of them. The 2 teammates, they were kind of switching position, really, racing each other pretty hard. Obviously, the 2 youngsters out of the Trinity Karting Group tent, and they've really shown their pace all year long. We've seen them week in, week out here at the national level scene. They're in Stars, they're in USPKS, they're in SCUSA. We see them every weekend, and they're always at the front. Travis Pettit and Lucas Palacio, and they've really shown their class this weekend. Obviously, whenever there's the money involved as well, it obviously adds a little bit of adds a little bit of kind of momentum and
an incentive almost.
And an incentive as well, yeah. Motivation, that was the word I was looking for. A lot more motivation coming to this weekend. We were speaking to a couple of the other guys as well. Motivation is what they're really looking for here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, money talks, right? And money's a motivation for anybody to do anything. And especially here at a go-kart track, you have a chance to win some money doing what you love, racing around a racetrack. Yeah. Anybody would take that opportunity, right? Back on track, though. I mean, we're seeing now it's a 4-car breakaway here from the Mini Swift guys. They've kind of pulled away from Troy Ferguson a little bit, but the fast guy on the track right now, Bowen Green, on board that comp car. He has closed the gap to those top 3 on the racetrack. Like I was saying, there's only a warm-up, more for these guys to get acclimated to the new racetrack, to the different surfaces and different lines they're going to have to go through, right? Not as much grip now because they're going through parts of the track that they haven't really driven on much throughout the weekend and the week, really. And some of these guys, it's a new track. I mean, this is roughly the same layout, I believe, if not the same layout from last year. But some of these guys haven't driven this layout before, so this is all brand new to some of them. But a lot of them have seemed to have picked it up pretty quickly.
Yeah, of course. And here are the Fast 5 at the moment. In the 102, Lucas Palacio, Travis Pettit right behind him, Cameron Marcia, Bowen Green, and Troy Ferguson. These are your Fast 5 for Micro Swift here. Lucas Palacio is currently the fastest man on track with a 43.544, and Cameron Marcia as well. I think he may have just gone a little bit faster than Lucas Palacio here, and I think Cameron Marcia puts it, I guess, on the pole at the moment with a 43.390. Bowen Green right behind him with a 43.445. Travis Pettit and Lucas Palacio right behind them with 43.536 for Travis Pettit. Lucas Palacio with a 43.554 544, and Troy Ferguson behind them in the 44s. 44s flats for Troy Ferguson. And yeah, I mean, it seems like over 1 lap pace, Lucas Palacio and Travis Pettit haven't really been there this weekend, but when it comes to the race, they have always decided to make the right moves, and they have been there up at the front the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty consistent for these guys throughout the day so far in qualifying in the heat races. The fastest 5 guys all weekend long, really. And they've been so consistently close to each other, right? I mean, like you said, on 1 lap pace, maybe Palacio is the quickest guy. Palacio decides he wants to not lead this group anymore. He wants to maybe learn a bit from the guys behind him, because Marshall right now went fastest in Bowling Green. Palacio actually out of the 5 is the 4th fastest guy, but you know, I mean, like I was saying, he's dropping back now behind the group here, trying to learn a few things, maybe pick up a draft, you know, that he wasn't able to maybe get beforehand. But you know, this is a very technical racetrack, right? The draft is not really a huge factor here, and that was the checkered flag for their warm-up session there. So we see Marsha and the rest of the group here pull into the pits for their warm-up session, and it is complete. So Marsha went quickest in warm-up, and if you can hear the engines behind me, we're getting ready to go for KA100 Junior warm-up. This should be pretty exciting.
Welcome back to IAME Grands here at Trackhouse Motorplex. My name is Caleb Vieska, and alongside me here in the booth is the man himself, Alexander Searle, as we take on the Fast, I believe now it's the Fast 6 here for KA100 Junior.
Yeah, it's going to be the Fast 6 for KA100 Junior there. So it's going to be McMurray, Malkwit, Walters, Miller, Vidmontian, and Austin Olds. It's going to be the 6 drivers battling it out here for the Fast 6 shootout, should we call it now, for the KA100 Junior class. On your screen, Mason Walters, one of the fastest drivers all weekend long, got the heat victory. What a race we had there in KA Junior for the first heat. I mean, it was about a 10-cart train. Mason Walters, like I was saying earlier, defended his, like his life depended on it, really, right? And I mean, he made it stick there, holding off, a pack of hungry wolves behind him there in the first KA heat race. One of which was this guy right here, Stephen Miller, was in that group. Couldn't make it stick though. I think he came up ultimately in P2 on board the Car Public. So I mean, a good run for Stephen Miller in both classes in X30 and KA. Now we have Malkwit on your screen. That's Malkwit coming off of a big win in Pittsburgh last weekend there in the Stars Championship Series. He's coming here to Trackhouse Motorplex for the IAME Grand Nationals, and he has shown tremendous pace so far. Malkwit right now, not your fastest driver out of the 6 so far, but again, we're only 2 laps into this warm-up. He's still getting used to the track and used to, the different surfaces and stuff that they're going to have to drive on now. As I believe that is Austin Olds now on your screen. Miller goes purple. McMurray right behind him at a 42 flat. They match those times. Austin Olds at a 42.1. There's only 4 tenths separating your top 6 right now. It's what you expect, though, from the KA Junior guys. Yeah, of course. These guys have been close together all year long in whatever national event that you put them in. Now, we see a move here by, I believe that is Carter McMurray now, going ahead of that 816 and the 873 of, that was Stephen Miller and I believe Carter McMurray or Mason Walters, I believe that was. And let's talk a little bit here about Isaac Malkwit. He isn't always the quickest when it comes to qualifying, but when it comes to the race, he is always up there fighting for the lead at the front. Seems like Isaac Malkwit really has his head on his shoulders, and he knows what moves to make and when to make them, obviously. Isaac, one of the younger KA drivers that we see, I mean, you see him in the seat. He's a little bit smaller than the rest of the guys that are up ahead of him. Stephen Miller, a little bit taller, as well as Mason Walters. Isaac Malkwit, one of the younger guys, but he's really driving like he's one of the older guys here in this class. And Isaac Malkwit has a lot of maturity for his age. He has really shown how he can put the laps in and stay consistent week in, week out. And like whenever we see him at national level events, he is always up at the front, Alex. Yeah, for sure. Malkovic has been super strong all year long since he moved up to the junior class, and again, proving it this weekend, being one of the fast six here in a very competitive KA junior class. I mean, it's a pretty tightly knit group out front, but Vid Montien put together an absolute stormer of a lap to go 2/10 faster than the guy we were just talking about, Isaac Malkovic. So it's Vid Montien and Malkovic now your top two in the warm-up session here. Mason Walters, your winner in the first heat, goes P3. And then it's Miller, Olds, and McMurray rounding out your top six. But it's only going to be 6 guys out there on the racetrack, 3/10 separating those drivers. So again, kind of what you would expect here from the fastest guys all weekend long so far in the KA junior class. They're going to put on a show for us in the coming minutes.
Yeah, of course, and Enzo Vin Montien on that Kart Republic. He is all alone on track at the moment. He has no draft, but he is managing to go quickest here at the moment as our cameras are catching up with him. You see Enzo Vin Montien trying to get a hold of the track as Mason Walters now goes purple and gets ahead of Enzo Vin Montien, who drops down at P2 here at the moment. But Enzo Vin Montien seems like he had a little bit of issues trying to get off the grid here, Alex. We were seeing it before we came back on, and Enzo Vin Montien goes purple once again with a 47.474. He is 2/10 quicker than Mason Walters, who is behind him. What a lap by Enzo Vin Montien. Seems like he has a full head of steam, and Enzo Vin Montien is really putting the laps in here at the moment.
Yeah, Vid Montien right now is absolutely flying in this warm-up session. I mean, he's been flying throughout the weekend so far. I mean, the KA Junior and X30 Junior, he's putting together 2 top 5 performances in both heat races as McMurray gets the signal to pull off and, get behind Mason Walters now, see what he can learn behind Walters there, who goes purple. Walters 41.4, so takes the top spot away from Enzo Vid Montien. But it is only 3/10, like I'm saying, between the top 6, and then Walters goes right behind McMurray once again. So McMurray, all these drivers trying to learn something from one another here, but each of them don't want to lead this group now because now it's time to see what they can do in the draft situation, right? They're trying to set up for the race, which is going to be 10 laps. They're trying to see, get the race pace together, get kind of the momentum going, and see where you can pass, where they're faster, where they're slower. And there it is. The warm-up session is done. So I believe it was Walters and then Vid Montien, your top 2 at 41.4s a pop. But it was only 3/10 separating your top 6.
Yeah, of course. What a couple of laps by Enzo Vin Montien in that Kart Republic. He has been super quick all weekend, and he's showing his pace here in the warm-up. Obviously a new track, the first time these guys are driving this track all weekend, and it shows the class that the fact that these national level drivers can go that quick this early on really shows the class that they bring week in, week out. So very good to see by these youngsters. And coming up next, I believe we have Micro Swift in the number 17, Colton Schniegenberg, Parker Ives, Cade Wolf, Zane Burgess, and Gavin Decay. Those are our fast 5 for Micro Swift.
Yeah, I mean, when we come back here, like you said, Caleb, we're going to go IAME Micro Swift Fast 5 racing here. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned for some awesome action coming up. Welcome back here live from Trackhouse Motorplex for the IAME Grand Nationals. We're getting ready to go Fast 5 racing, beginning with the IAME Micro Swift class. On your screen, it's Cade Wolf and Parker Ives. On the front row, it's going to be Zane Burgess, then followed by Gavin Decay, and then Colton Schneegeberg is going to round out your fifth and final starting position driver here for the IAME Micro Swift Fast 5 final. $500 on the line for these drivers.
Yeah, big money for these little guys here. The youngest set of kids that we see come through here on the weekend. Obviously, Parker Ives has been almost perfect this weekend, as well as Cade Wolf. These guys have really given it to each other this weekend. They're always fighting, you know. These guys, whenever, like we were saying before, Alex, whenever we see these kids race here on the national level scene, they're always up against each other because they show the class that they bring week in, week out.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, these kids are all putting on together, they've all put together a pretty good show for us so far through qualifying in the first heat. More of the same coming in a few seconds time here. In the tram lines now is Cade Wolf. Parker Ives, you're outside row 1 pole sitter there. So Cade Wolf, we're going to get the green here this time by. Yes, they do. Cade Wolf is going to pinch Parker Ives off. Through turn 1 goes Cade Wolf. Gavin Decay has found himself in a P2. Side-by-side contact there between Schneegeberg and Ives. Ives from P2 to P4 now. Colton Schneegeberg has went from last to third in the opening couple corners.
What a move by Colton Schneegeberg. He did start last in this race, but he was able to decide on what side of the tram lines he wanted to start. And he was, I mean, it seemed like he chose the correct side because now he's up in a P3, and Parker Ives falls behind that 17 energy card of Colton Schneegeberg. And Colton Schneegeberg now, I believe he's trying to chase down Cade Wolf, who is in the P1 spot, and I think that's Gavin Decay or Zane, either Gavin Decay or Zane Burgess, who's in the P2 spot at the moment.
Yeah, Gavin Decay up in the P2. What a start for him. Colton Schneegeberg in the P3. They're already pulling away a little bit here from Parker Ives and Zane Burgess. So what an opening lap we've seen from these top 3, especially Cade Wolf. Cade Wolf has about a 3 kart length advantage over Gavin Decay in P2. Look, we're going to see the true pace here. We saw it in warm-up, but they were still getting used to the track, getting used to the tires and everything. We're going to see the true pace of these guys in the next couple of laps here with 9 to go in the Fast 5 shootout. Like I said, $500 on the line here through the turn 8 hairpin. Cade Wolf extends the advantage just a little bit over Gavin Decay through this corner right here. I believe it's going to be turn 9, we're going to call it here. Gavin Decay has actually closed his advantage over the comp car driver of Cade Wolf, and there's Schneegeberg right behind him. Like we talked about, though, we lose, turn 3 and turn 4. So, the back straightaway where the draft is a huge implication in how the race results could finish. Not as much here for this layout, right? There's less draft and more technicality involved as Schneegeberg to the inside. He's going to make it 6. So there goes Colton Schneegeberg now to P2 from P5 where he started this race. Let's see if he can close the gap now to Cade Wolf.
Yeah, and Colton Schneegeberg up in a P2 at the moment. Now he's chasing down the 54 cart of Cade Wolf here at the moment in that comp cart, and Colton Schneegeberg seems like he's trying to work together a little bit there with Parker Ives, who's behind him here at the moment. These three, Parker Ives is down in P4. I'm sorry, I believe that's a 75 of Gavin Decay here. So, these guys have been super quick all weekend. Obviously, we saw it in the warm-up. These guys are figured out the track pretty quick, and now they're racing on it. So. Yeah, but at the moment, Cade Wolf in that 54 goes purple last time by. Now he does improve, goes purple, and Parker Ives running in the 44.211. He was the fastest man last time by, but Cade Wolf still in the lead of this race with Colton Schneegeberg right behind him.
Yeah, Parker Ives, fastest guy last time by here. He actually got around Gavin Decay, so he's up into P3 here as we have timing and scoring working. A bit of contact there between Zane Burgess and Gavin Decay. A half spin for Gavin Decay is going to put him essentially out of contention here for the $500 prize money here in about 7 laps time. But Cade Wolf still out front, extending his advantage just a little bit over Colton Schneegeberg. But Schneegeberg has closed it a little bit this time by. He's like round the final corner, across the start-finish line. What are the times looking like? Crossing the stripe this time by. Schneegeberg goes purple, the only driver to see the 43-second mark at all tonight. Schneegeberg 3/10 faster than your leader last time by.
Yeah, and Colton Schneegeberg with a full head of steam. Seems like he's catching up to Cade Wolf here in these closing stages of the race. Well, not closing stages. We have 6 laps to go, but Colton Schneegeberg has been super quick. He's the only man in the 43.998. He has been super quick, and now he's catching up to Cade Wolf in that comp cart, and right behind him, Parker Ives, and further on back, obviously, Gavin Decay had a little bit of contact there with Zane Burgess, so that's going to put him out of contention here of this race. Very unfortunate for him, but Colton Schneegeberg, the man of the hour, he sees Cade Wolf right in front of him. Colton Schneegeberg is going to want that money. Obviously, these kids are young, but they're going to want that $500, Alex.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was about to say, the man on the mission right now, Parker Ives, he looked to be quick, and he was 4/10 faster than your 2 drivers in front of him last time by. Parker Ives, he's right back in the mix here. He's the 3rd driver you see on your screen, but he is absolutely flying down towards turn 4 and the turn 5 hairpin on this shortened layout here. Ives doesn't make a move with 4.5 laps to go. I'm surprised with the run that he had, but they're going to stay single file here through turn 6, and they're going to climb the hill now through the short chute here. The double right-hander you're going to see here, it's going to then turn into a right-left chicane, a big bump right here. They all go through the bump cleanly, down towards turn 10 and then turn 11, the final corner here. Cade Wolf, still your leader. Schniegenberg and Ives closely behind him. They have left Zane Burgess and Gavin Decay behind.
Yeah, these top 3 have been super quick, and you're seeing it now in the top 5 shootout. Obviously, Zane Burgess and Gavin Decay cannot get the toe from anybody else because there's only 5 as we see a move by Parker Ives down the inside of Colton Schniegenberg. Move Parker Ives up in a P2, and now Parker Ives is going to want to catch up to that 54. Oh, and there goes Parker Ives down the inside on Cade Wolf. Can Parker Ives get it done? And he does. Move Parker Ives in a P number 1, and Cade Wolf down to P2.
How did Parker Ives get such a run out of turn 3? I mean, he made a move on Schniegenberg and then got a run on Cade Wolf simultaneously, it seemed like. So Parker Ives from 3rd to 1st in about 3 corners. He's your new leader now, the 48 of Parker Ives to the point, and Cade Wolf right back on his bumper. They've left Colt Schniegenberg, by about a kart length this time by when they cross the line. 3 to go. Entering turn 1, Cade Wolf on the comp cart all over the back end of Parker Ives, who goes a little bit wide in turn 1. Anything going to happen here into turn 3? No. Cade Wolf's going to follow suit behind him, exiting the corner. Really close to the barriers there. Ives look over his shoulder, gets a good run out of turn 3, and through to turn 4 and turn 5 hairpin now. Ives extending his advantage over the comp cart.
Look at that speed difference there, Alex, between Parker Ives and Cade Wolf. Parker Ives down to turn number 3 and 4 in that little kink. Seems like he's having a little bit of more. It may be a gearing change as well, as we were talking about it before. It seems like Parker Ives may have a little bit of more top end, as we see here. Cade Wolf throughout the slower corners. Cade Wolf is starting to catch up the rear bumper of Parker Ives, and we may see here Parker Ives pull away a little bit here down the straight, as we're seeing here now. And Cade Wolf, yeah, it seems like Parker Ives just has a little bit of more top speed, and Cade Wolf is maybe geared more for the corners, as we're seeing here at the moment. But Cade Wolf still up the rear bumper of Parker Ives.
Yeah, we have the 2 to go signal this time by Parker Ives. Like you said, Caleb, gets really good runs out of that turn 4 kink and makes it really difficult for Cade Wolf to make a move on Ives. Ives right now looking really, really good here with 1.5 laps to go. Through the tight part of the racetrack, though. This is where Cade Wolf has been really strong all race long. To the bumper of Parker Ives, but Ives going to extend his advantage through the left-right chicane, down towards turn 11. Look at the run Cade Wolf has on Parker Ives. Do we see a move? No, we don't. Through turn 11, we're going to get the white flag in the air. $500 on the line for Parker Ives and Cade Wolf. It seems to be a mano-a-mano fight for the win here in Micro Swift. Through turn 1, Wolf, a huge slide through turn 1. Through turn 2, Ives looks over his shoulder. No move for Cade Wolf. A late lunge. He bump and runs him down to the barrier there. Ives to the inside of the turn 4 kink. He's going to hold on. Cade Wolf and Parker Ives going side by side for $500.
Side by side into turn number 6. Parker Ives still leads this race, but for how long? Cade Wolf in that comp cart has been super quick all weekend long, and he's showing it now as he sticks his nose down the inside of Parker Ives. Cannot get it done. We move. Parker Ives moves to defend. Can Cade Wolf get the switchback? He cannot at the moment. Cade Wolf still up the rear bumper, coming into the last couple of corners. Here we have Cade Wolf. Can he stick his nose down the inside? He's going to try a switchback. He cannot. It's going to be a drag down to the finish line. Who is it going to be side by side? Parker Ives takes the win in Micro Swift. Parker Ives is $500 richer. Congratulations, Parker Ives. But what a race did we have. Cade Wolf tried his best to try to beat Parker Ives there to the line. Could not get it done. What a drive by Cade Wolf. But Parker Ives, $500 richer in the Fast 5 of Micro Swift.
What a finish for IAME Micro Swift. Parker Ives, you're $500 richer, but Cade Wolf didn't make it easy for him. Side by side across the line. That's one of the closest photo finishes you're going to see all day long. 1/100th of a second, or should I say 12,000ths of a second, between the two of them. And then Schniegenberg was right back in the mix there to keep them honest at 3/10 back. What a run for those 3 drivers, and really for everybody involved. Zane Burgess and Gavin Decay rounding out your top 5 here for the Fast 5 final. But Parker Ives, what an incredible showing for him.
Yeah, of course, and this is why we love this event, Alex. You have the Fast Five here. You have the best of the best going at it here in IAME Grands, and obviously these guys really put on a show for us here. Parker Ives, Cade Wolf, Colton Schniegenberg, Zane Burgess, and Gavin DeKay put on a show for us here tonight, and man, what a race it was in between Parker Ives and Cade Wolf. But coming up next, I believe we have Mini Swift. We've seen them go at it all weekend long. We have Cameron Marsha, Bowen Green, Travis Pettit, Lucas Palacio, and Troy Ferguson. These guys are about to go at it for 10 laps.
Yeah, like you said, it's going to be Cameron Marsha leading these Mini Swift drivers to the green, followed by Bowen Green on the comp cart, the 104 there, Bowen Green outside of row 1. Travis Pettit and Lucas Palacio, the 2 TKG Car Republic drivers, on row 2, and then Troy Ferguson on board the Bennick is going to be your 5th and final driver here for the Fast 5 Shootout final from Mini Swift. Just like the Micro Swift and just like KA, we'll see later on tonight, $500 on the line for these young stars here in the Mini Swift class. Here we go, up the hill here, getting ready to go green here very shortly. Cameron Marsha, like I said, your pole sitter, has been one of the fastest drivers all weekend long in the Mini Swift class. Really all 5 of these guys. That's why they're in the Fast 5 final, right? They've been the fastest guys through qualifying, through the heat races, and now they've earned their way into the Fast 5 final for Mini Swift. Rounding the final corner now, and they're going to enter the tram lines slowly. It's Cameron Marsha, Bowen Green, Travis Pettit, Lucas Palacio, and Troy Ferguson rounding out your 5th and final driver here for the Fast 5 Shootout. Green flag underway. Cameron Marsha gets a good start, followed by Travis Pettit, who's going to sneak his way into P2 there. Bowen Green falls back to P3, and Ferguson now to 4th, and Travis Pettit, a late lunge, gets on the curb a little bit. That's going to slow everybody down. Travis Pettit to the point. Palacio to the inside of Ferguson. He gets 4th place back, but Travis Pettit, what a start. He goes defensive really early on here. Any moves being made. Palacio to 3rd, and Cameron Marsha's going to hold on a 2nd, but Troy Ferguson's now going to push Bowen Green all the way to the dirt and get back to 4th place.
Yeah, what a move there by Travis Pettit to really get in the lead here of this race. And Lucas Palacio making moves already. Obviously, he started 4th, I believe. Well, now he's still in. Well, I think he's up to 3rd at the moment. Yes, Alex, he is up to 3rd, and Travis Pettit takes the lead of this race at the moment. Right behind him, if I'm not mistaken, that is Bowen Green. As we are about to cross the line, Travis Pettit in the lead of this race. I'm sorry, Cameron Marsha behind Travis Pettit, Lucas Palacio in P3, Troy Ferguson in P4, and Bowen Green rounds out your Fast 5.
Yeah, look at that, Lucas Palacio from 4th to 2nd now from where he started. What a move there on the inside of Cameron Marsha. It is now a TKG Car Republic 1-2. Travis Pettit and Lucas Palacio have found each other on the racetrack once again. These drivers seemingly always seem to make this happen, and now Palacio and Travis Pettit, just like they probably planned this out before the race started, if they could find each other, they're going to work together, and then for the last lap or so, see who wants the $500 more. But right now, Travis Pettit, your leader, Palacio, and then followed closely behind is Cameron Marsha, who's kept them honest all day long, really.
Yeah, of course, and obviously Travis Pettit and Lucas Palacio, they've been class all year, and we saw it here earlier, Alex, in heat number 1. We saw Travis Pettit and Lucas Palacio really go at it here in the first heat. I think that's Lucas Palacio going down the inside of Travis Pettit, move Lucas Palacio up to P number 1, and now it's still a TKG 1-2, but Travis Pettit in the P2 spot, and look at Lucas Palacio really looking over his shoulder, telling his teammate, hey man, let's work together, let's work our way up, and it's going to be interesting to see how these guys fight, Lucas Palacio and Travis Pettit, how that's going to bring Cameron Marsha into play. But let's not count out Troy Ferguson and Bowen Green, who are still right there with the rest. Now it's a 4-cart train. It's about to be 5 as the Fast 5 are starting to make their way up.
Yeah, Travis Pettit, Lucas Palacio, teammates, normally, and they're teammates right now, but I will say this much, when you put $500 on the line, it seems as though they're not going to work together at all. We saw Palacio defending from Pettit for most of that lap, and again, Palacio defending from Travis Pettit. So you put money on the line, and these kids no longer want to be teammates here. Palacio defending once again. Here comes Cameron Marsha now. He's going to run on the pair of them here. Palacio all the way to the bottom of the racetrack here for the turn 8 hairpin, and Palacio's going to hold the entire train up here, and now it's back to a 5-cart train.
Yeah, 5-cart train indeed. These guys have really shown their class. Oh, as we see a little bit of a defensive move there by Lucas Palacio on Travis Pettit. Slides down the inside, comes back up. A little bit of a late move there. But Travis Pettit still in P2, right behind his teammate Lucas Palacio. They're definitely going to be wanting to pull away a little bit from the rest of the group as we were crossing the line this time by. Lucas Palacio still in a P1. Travis Pettit right behind him. Troy Ferguson in P3. Cameron Marsha in P4. And Bowen Green in P5.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Troy Ferguson there. He went from 4th to 3rd last time by. you know, he was kind of a result of what I was talking about with the barriers there on the left-right chicane. He and Marsha went side by side, and Ferguson had to pinch him down to the barrier. Marsha had to back out of it as Marsha gets a really, really good crossover out of the turn 8 hairpin. He's not going to make it stick because Ferguson's going to dive up the inside of turn 6 there, and Ferguson's going to hold on to P3. But Lucas Palacio, it is an absolute parking lot right now behind Lucas Palacio, who's defending in almost every corner, it seems like.
Yeah, Lucas Palacio seems like he is really wanting to win those 500 big ones here tonight. And Lucas Palacio seems like he's still defending, moving down the straight as Travis Pettit's looking for a gap here, maybe trying to send it down the inside on his teammate. Cannot get it done as Lucas Palacio with 5 laps to go. We're already defending here. This is a race of the ages here in between these mini Swift drivers. Lucas Palacio still in the lead of this race as we see one further on back. I believe that's Cameron Marsha. I think he's going to lose out a spot there. So I believe that was Bowen Green, if I'm not mistaken here, and move him up to P number 4. And Cameron Marsha falls back to the tail of this group. Oh, and Cameron Marsha with the switchback move. Can he get 2 at once? He cannot. That, I believe that's the energy or the Bennett Kart. Oh! Gets sent off into the grass and keeps it together. What a race we have on our hands here, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show you how difficult it is to go side by side around this shortened Trackhouse Motorplex racetrack here. Ferguson's going to somehow hold on to P3 there, but side-to-side contact between Cameron Marsha and Bowen Green at one point throughout that race, throughout the lap there. Might be some damage to the Troy Ferguson Bennett go-kart. I don't think so. That was Pettit. Wow, a late lunge there on Lucas Palacio. Makes it stick. A crossover move incoming here. But I think Pettit's going to hold on. Ferguson's going to follow him through. So Palacio from 1st to 4th now. Palacio is defending the entirety of this race. He's going to lose out to 3 spots here.
Ooh.
Gets into the back of Bowen Green. It's going to pay off here, maybe, but it's going to be a right-hander here. He's on the wrong side of the racetrack, but Palacio around the outside through the dirt. Oh, we're going lawnmower racing now with Lucas Palacio through the dirt. Oh, man, and this is going to extend the advantage to Travis Pettit now, who's got a big lead to Bowen Green.
Obviously, the more these guys fight in behind, the more that lead is going to grow for Travis Pettit as we see Lucas Palacio now trying to make a move on, if I'm not mistaken, that's Troy Ferguson trying to make a move. Lucas Palacio is clear of Troy Ferguson now and move Lucas Palacio up to P number 4. And now side by side for P2, I'm sorry. I think that's Cameron Marsha and Bowen Green. Move Cameron Marsha up to P number 2. And now these guys have to really start to work together to try to work their way up and catch up to that TKG card of Travis Pettit here in this race, Alex.
Yeah, Travis Pettit right now still has a pretty hefty lead over the guys in 2nd and 3rd, but that lead is closing with 2.5 laps to go. Cameron Marsha is in prime position to take a victory here and become $500 richer with the help of Bowen Green on board that comp cart. Round in the final corner. Let's see the gap. Last time by it was 5/10. It has to be shorter than that this time by. It is 2.5 tenths. Cameron Marsha just closed the gap by 0.3 of a second over Travis Pettit on board the TKG Car Republic, and Pettit goes defensive. He knows that Marsha's there. Marsha gets a good run out. He's given the finger there to Pettit saying, please keep going. Don't defend yet. There's still 2 to go here, but Travis Pettit defends. Marsha around the outside. Bowen Green's to take advantage of that. Side by side, exiting turn 8 there. Marsha with a better exit, though, through the turn 6 and uphill towards the final part of this racetrack. Palacio, side to side. Bumper to bumper there. Palacio's going to bully his way through to P3. Here comes Lucas Palacio on board the Car Republic TKG go-kart with 1 lap to go coming up, Caleb.
Welcome back to the party, Lucas Palacio. He's back into P3. He obviously fell to the tail end of this race here. We see Travis Pettit, and if I'm not mistaken, that's Cameron Marsha. These guys are going already defensive. And Lucas Palacio, can he make his way through over the curb? He cannot. He's on the outside at the moment. Can he get the switchback done? Coming into turn number 4, the slight kink on the left-hand side. Lucas Palacio going to try to follow his teammate through. He cannot. Cameron Marsha still behind Travis Pettit. Lucas Palacio is going to try to push his teammate through, and he does. Lucas Palacio up to P number 2. Cameron Marsha in 3, but can he hold on to the outside? Cameron Marsha on the outside gets it done on Lucas Palacio. Move Cameron Marsha back up to P number 2.
Yeah, around in the final few corners here through the chicane. Pettit gets the curb a little bit. Kart all the way up in the air. He's going to have to defend in turn 11. Is he going to get a crossover move from Marsha? Pettit, it's going to be just like the last race. Side by side drag race. It's going to be Travis Pettit by 1/100th of a second. Just like in Micro Swift. Drag race to the line, and Travis Pettit somehow holds on over Cameron Marsha. Man, I couldn't tell who won just by looking at it there, but timing and scoring says Pettit won by just over 10 thousandths of a second.
What a race that was, Alex. And Travis Pettit, the man himself, he's $500 richer here tonight, and you can see the emotion from him. He is super happy, and I'd be happy as well. He really showed his pace, kept his nose clean all race long. Lucas Palacio was up there as well, trying to work his way through with his teammate, but Travis Pettit, the TKG man, $500 richer here tonight.
Wow, I mean, back-to-back races and back-to-back drag races to the line, separated by less than a hundredth of a second both times here. And I expect more of the same here as we get ready to go for KA Junior Fast 5. Don't go anywhere.
Line has steadily made progress since its inception in October 2021. On top of servicing the Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana areas with products from Kart chassis, Tillotson Karts and Engines, IAME, Briggs, Honda, and more, they're now promoting race events as well throughout the mid and coastal South region at NOLA Motorsports Park and Finish Line Performance Karting in Biloxi, Mississippi. Races are already set for the fall of 2022. September 3rd, October 22nd, and November 12th at NOLA Motorsports Park, and 2 dates, September 10th and October 15th at Finish Line Performance Karting. Driver Line is set to finish this year strong.
Welcome back to the IAME Grand Nationals at Trackhouse Motorplex Park. My name is Caleb Yeska. Alongside me in the booth here is Alexander Searle. We saw a great couple of races here in between the Fast 5, in between the Micro and Mini Swifts, and now we have our KA100 Juniors, IAME Juniors. We have Enzo Vinmontien, Mason Walter, Stephen Miller, Carter McMurray, Isaac Malquit, and Austin Olds. This is the Fast 6.
Yeah, here we go. Enzo Vinmontien leading these drivers to the green. Outside of him is Mason Walters, the fastest driver we've seen all day throughout the qualifying and heat races. Here we go, green flag in the air. Enzo Vinmontien on the Kart Republic gets a really good start, but Stephen Miller pushes him wide, and Mason Walters has to take evasive action. He's going to cut the entire racetrack, has to fall back to at least third, make it fourth, and maybe even fifth place before it's all said and done here through the kink. Walters back to last now.
Yeah, it seems like Mason Walters went off track to really try to cut the grass for the groundskeepers here at Trackhouse, but as we see Austin Olds and I believe that's Carter McMurray going at it further on back, and Isaac Malquit up to P number 3, and Enzo Vinmontien still in the lead of this race with Stephen Miller right behind him. Obviously Isaac Malquit right behind them, and Austin Olds, and if I'm not mistaken here, I think that's Carter McMurray on the tail end of this field. Austin Olds in P number 4, I'm sorry, Carter McMurray, and at the end of this field we have Mason Walters.
Yeah, Enzo Vinmontien, your leader right now. He was the fastest guy we saw in warm-up. He seemed to have figured out this racetrack faster than anybody else. But Stephen Miller right now, he's all over the bumper of Enzo Vinmontien. Mason Walters makes a move on Mark Murray. So move Walters back into 5th place here. But here comes Stephen Miller on the Kart Republic, trying to get up to his Kart Republic teammate there, Enzo Vinmontien. Vinmontien seems to have extended his advantage just a little bit over the course of these last few corners here, but it was a little bit wide there. Gets on the grass. That's not going to do his tires any good here. Here comes Malquit and Olds now in the mix, 3rd and 4th, and then Walters not too far behind.
Yeah, Stephen Miller and Enzo Vinmontien, the two men on the Kart Republic. They have been super quick, both Kart Republic drivers, and you've seen it all weekend long. Enzo Vinmontien now goes purple with a 41.733, and Stephen Miller right behind him with a 42 flat. Right behind them, Isaac Malquit in the 41.9s, Stephen Miller in the 42s, and Isaac Malquit, Enzo Vinmontien, Austin Olds as well, Mason Walters as well, breaking into the 41s.
Yeah, last time by, Vinmontien goes purple, 41.7. Like you said, Caleb, fastest guy on the racetrack right now is your leader. He was 3/10 faster than Stephen Miller right now, and it seems to be even an ever-growing advantage there for Enzo Vinmontien. Stephen Miller right now, it is a train behind him. He is holding up this pack behind him, which consists of Malquit, Olds, Walters, and McMurray. Vinmontien crossed the line to extend his advantage of 41.4. Absolute rocket ship right now is that Kart Republic driver, the 895 Enzo Vinmontien. There goes Malquit to the inside of Miller. He's going to make it stick. Here comes Isaac Malquit now to 2nd.
Yeah, and Enzo Vinmontien has been flying in this race here. We saw it in qualifying, Alex. Enzo Vinmontien set that purple lap all by himself, and now he's showing the pace of that Kart Republic all by himself. He's in the lead of this race, and he's extending that gap to Isaac Malquit behind.
Yeah, I mean, the only guy to really, match his pace was Mason Walters in that warm-up. He matched Vinmontien's 41.4 in warm-up, and in the race so far, he's matched him again on 41.4 apiece there. So Vinmontien 41.4, Walters 41.4, but he's stuck right now in 5th place behind Austin Olds, who's been defending for that 4th place spot here. That's not going to do them any good for this race. Vinmontien right now has a 1.5 second advantage over Isaac Malkowit there on your screen in second place. Stephen Miller falling back to the clutches now of the MPG driver of Austin Olds, and Mason Walters now in fifth, who's been the second fastest driver all race long so far. But with 5.5 laps to go here, it's looking good for Vin Montien.
Yeah, Enzo Vin Montien absolutely running away with it. Like you were saying before, Alex, seems like Enzo Vin Montien has a rocket ship under him. Isaac Malkowit can only do so much, but seems like he is pulling away now from that other Kart Republic driver of Stephen Miller. And behind him, Austin Olds as well. Definitely going to be a battle for P3 as these guys try to work their way up. But Enzo Vin Montien, the man of the hour, he is really starting to extend that gap in behind. And now you see Austin Olds down the inside on Stephen Miller. He gets it done. And right behind him, Mason Walters goes through as well. And Austin Olds now has to catch his way back up to Isaac Malkowit. Mason Walters as well, as we see a little bit of a defensive move there by Austin Olds. And he cannot get it done as we go 3 wide, and Mason Walters gets pushed out wide. A little bit of bump in there in between Stephen Miller, and through goes Carter McMurray from last place up to P3. What a move by Carter McMurray as Austin Olds, Stephen Miller, and company were fighting there for the third spot here, Alex.
Yeah, what an opportunistic move there for Carter McMurray. Takes advantage of the two drivers there and Olds and Miller fighting it out, and McMurray took advantage of that, so he's going to find himself in P3 now, the comp car driver there. Here comes Stephen Miller on the inside of Olds, and Mason Walters follows him through. So Austin Olds now to the back of the field, which is essentially 6th place in this race, right? But Stephen Miller, Walters, and Olds right now, it's going to be a battle for 4th place, right? This is more of a consolation prize at this point. They don't have the pace to win it as it stands, and they're too busy racing each other to really fight for the $500 here. Here comes Austin Olds now to the inside of Walters. Walters going to fall back, back to 6th place here. It's been a really rough showing for Mason Walters, who's shown the pace, when it mattered in the race, right? At a 41.4, they only got to match Vin Montien's pace, but just couldn't get around the drivers ahead of him here. And here comes Isaac Malkowit, kind of just a lonely race for him at 1.7 seconds back from your leader and 2.3 ahead of the next guy.
Yeah, and obviously Enzo Vin Montien absolutely running away with it here as you see Isaac Malkowit on the edge of the screen coming in a frame just as Enzo Vin Montien is leaving the frame as we have a little bit of wind coming in here at the Trackhouse Motorplex Park. There was rain on our radar here today, Alex. That can definitely be something that comes into play later on today as the wind is starting to pick up here. So definitely rain may be something that comes into play here later on today, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there is any rain on the radar, but I'm looking to my right here. There's a couple of dark clouds looming in the area, so you never know. I mean, I'm from Florida, right, so I always expect rain. But I'm here in North Carolina, right? It still rains quite a bit here. The sun's out, and it looks pretty good. I think it's just, the breeze is picking up, which probably feels pretty good for these drivers out there when it's been, scorching 100-degree heat throughout the day.
Yeah, of course, and Enzo Vin Montien still in the lead of this race with 1.5 laps to go here, really, and he has been in a world of his own. Enzo Vin Montien putting on a drive that is absolutely out of this world. He has been absolutely perfect all the way through. Enzo Vin Montien got the moves done early and really was able to pull away from the rest of the field. We saw it in qualifying. He was able to get it done all by himself. Now he goes even, he keeps his fastest lap time of a 41.433, as I believe tires are now falling off for the rest of the field. Enzo Vin Montien has been an absolute class this race here in KA100 Junior. He is doing his absolute best, and you can see it here. Enzo Vin Montien is so smooth on that steering wheel here, Alex.
Yeah, rounding the turn 8 hairpin, climbing the hill here for the final time. We're on the final lap here for Enzo Vin Montien, who's seemingly been on kind of a practice session for him. I mean, he has just been the only guy to really consistently be in the 41s for the entirety of this race. Tire wear wasn't a factor for him. He rounds the final corner. The Kart Republic driver, Enzo Vin Montien, is $500 richer.
And Isaac Malkowit right behind him in P2. Carter McMurray rounds out your top 3. Stephen Miller, Mason Walters, and Austin Olds rounds up your fast 6. But Enzo Vin Montien was perfect all day long. He came here. Obviously, he knew what he wanted to do. He was quick in qualifying. He's quick in the race. And Enzo Vin Montien, you're $500 richer.
Yeah, Vin Montien, your winner here in the KA100 Junior Fast 5, or Fast 6, should I say, for these guys. Their shootout race. Malkowit in P2. McMurray rounds out your top 3 for the shootout event. Stephen Miller, Mason Walters, and Austin Olds rounds out your top 6 for the KA Junior Fast 5 shootouts. When we come back here, we're going to start getting ready to do our KA100 Senior Shootout. Don't go anywhere.
has steadily made progress since its inception in October 2021. On top of servicing the Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana areas with products from Kart chassis, Tillotson Karts and Engines, IAME, Briggs, Honda, and more, they're now promoting race events as well throughout the Mid and Coastal South region at NOLA Motorsports Park and Finish Line Performance Karting in Biloxi, Mississippi. Races are already set for the fall of 2022, September 3rd, October 22nd, and November 12th at NOLA Motorsports Park, and 2 dates, September 10th and October 15th at Finish Line Performance Karting. Drive Your Line is set to finish this year strong.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're ready for a night show, it is time for it. Let's send it down to the pit lane. KA100s presented by the CNC Performance Engineering Shootout. And we will go ahead and bring out our first few drivers. First up, the fan vote winner in the 16th seed, driving an Apex Racing Tony Kart, number 927, Jordan Hernandez. Once again, we'll see if we can get him out here. Jordan Hernandez starting in the 16th seed to walk on out. Starting in the 16th seed, your fan vote winner, number 927, Jordan Hernandez. Starting in the 15th seed, the second of your two promoter draws, number 902, Connor Ferris. In the 14th seed, your first of your two promoter random draws for Zanella Racing, Leonardo Scorpioni. Starting in the 13th seed, the second qualifier just to miss out on the top 10, it is Joe Turney. Your second qualifier just to miss on the show, number 7, Adam Brickley. Your 11th seed coming in, your CNC Performance Engineering official promoters pick for driving a Speed Concepts Racing Red Speed out of Davie, Florida, Austin Garrison. Your 10th seed and the number 237 Rollison Performance Group Cosmic from Costa Rica, Danny Formal. Your 9th seed, a number 921 Privateer Energy driver, Anthony Rivera. In the 8th seed, making his return to the seat in nearly a year. But the last time he was here, this year in a different package, he put on fireworks. The 8th seed, driving a Ryan Perry Motorsport Tony Kart, Brent Cruz. In the 7th seed, driving a BJR MDR LN Kart, number 340, Paulie Massimino. In the 6th seed, driving a Tesoro Raceworks CRG, number 377, Frankie Mossman. In the 5th seed, a Privateer, driving a number 303 Kart Republic, Dalton Haynes. Your 4th seed, driving an MPG Motorsports Kart Republic, number 951 from Gahanna, Ohio, Braden Eves. Finally, your top 3 seeds coming in. 3rd place in qualifying, 3rd seeded after the heat races, driving a Factory Magic Kart, AJ Myers. Your number 2 seed won his heat race earlier today in the Millwright Racing Tony Kart out of Wisconsin, number 901, Brandon Lemke. And finally, your number 1 ranked seed, qualified on pole, heat race winner, number 990, driving an Alonso Kart out of North Carolina, Aiden Levy. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is your field for the IAME CNC Performance Engineering KA100 Shootout. The sun is setting down here. The kids, the paddock is lined for what is going to be an absolute barn burner of a show. And we cannot wait to bring it with you here, ladies and gentlemen. What an awesome day. What an awesome night. It's just getting started. All right, well, as we step into the broadcast booth here, while the drivers get set for the first warm-up session, our guest announcers have joined me here in the box. Connor Zillish to my left, Ryan Norberg to my right. One of you guys was on track, the other one was off the track. So first of all, Ryan, going to your day. First of all, I appreciate you coming back here. I know the duty's not as fun when you don't have a good day on the racetrack, so let the viewers at home know a little bit of how Friday's gone. Probably not ideal.
No, got involved in a little accident, but that's racing. That's how things go. Obviously, that's not what tonight's about, though. Tonight's about the KA Shootout. This is the big money race for these guys, and so, let's not take away anything from that, and let's just focus on these guys. I mean, you got a stacked field. I'm looking at these drivers, and I mean, it's a tale of two different things. I mean, you've got the standard KA drivers who have raced the whole season, been racing this class every single race this year, and then you've got these guys, Joe Turney, Austin Garrison, Danny Formal. These guys, they're just showing up. This is one of their first races of the season in this class, sometimes the first time they've driven it at all. And so it's going to lead to a very interesting dynamic, this race, just to see the different experience levels and the different way these drivers attack this race format.
Not only that, of course, Connor Zillish, you have won this shootout both times it has happened. This is your first year watching the KA Shootout from the sidelines. So what are some keys to the race these guys need? This is the biggest field this shootout's ever seen at 16 drivers.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting one for sure. These guys have obviously put their time in the last 2 days and gotten up to speed, but a new layout changes everything, changes gear. Your setup might be a little bit different here. So with this little warm-up that we got going on, they're going to have to figure out what they have and what they need from the go-kart. Obviously, some of these guys may have some notes from last year because this is the same layout we ran on the shootout, but it's still going to be different. And for the guys who haven't run, it's going to be new for them. So it's going to be about adapting quickly and getting to the front as quick as you can in those heat races while not getting rid of your chances of getting up to the front and winning. So you got to be smart, but you got to be aggressive at the same time. And it's going to be interesting to see who prevails and who's able to do that.
In calling the all four shootouts that have happened so far, it feels like you just kind of take a weekend and you bottle it in about an hour's time. You still have basically points racing in those heat races that you have to manage it, but you're putting yourself under such a time crunch, both to work on the go-kart, to make the changes, and then to mentally react on the racetrack. It happens so quick. That, to me, seems like the biggest pressure of it all, and you even said it in your interview after winning it last year, of how hard this shootout is from a driver's perspective.
Yeah, it's definitely very difficult. I think one of the more difficult things, though, is trying to pace out this whole session. Like, for instance, these guys, they're going out on the same tires that they're going to be racing on. This session, it doesn't set up a qualifying or anything. This is where they get to go practice. But, the longer you practice, the more it's going to hurt you throughout the run.
Right.
And so there's a very interesting dynamic. And it's like you said, it is a long weekend condensed into about an hour. But you've got to pay attention to that. You've got to kind of treat these heat races as practices in themselves. I mean, this is a new track. Nobody's really raced it. You've got to just kind of learn, adapt, look at other drivers, and really not so much focus on the finishes early and just focus on getting a kart that can go, run up front, and can be fast.
Well, not only that here, we can see just off to our side, and I'll see if we can get a camera on it here in a moment. Not every driver's gone out for the first lap of warm-up. As we go to the on-track action here, there's a big crew getting set to go, but one kart not. In fact, it's your teammate, Danny Formal, who, as you mentioned.
Didn't you have the same strategy last year? I saw you.
Yeah.
And the X30, he went out, or you stayed in here. I went out. I saw you stayed in, and I said, well, dang, I can't go out then either. So I went out, did a slow pace lap, and came right in. So strategy plays into this for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And like obviously right now, all these guys are just kind of like pacing it out. I mean, they're just trying to find the line. You can sit here like Danny's doing, look at the lap time, find the driver who's the fastest, see what line he's doing, then go out and do that. Just copy that, and that's a great baseline to start up, and you save your tires quite a bit. So, I mean, it's, like we said, the games are already starting. I mean, we're just looking at warm-up right here, and the games are started. But like you can see, all these drivers are nose to tail. This is an interesting spot to be in. I mean, we're looking at Paulie Massimino right here driving behind a bunch of drivers. That's a decent spot to be in. You definitely don't want to be leading this group. You're not getting any information off anybody. You're trying everything for everybody else, and you're not really helping anybody out.
It's a lot like racing in the rain, right? You know, using the guy in front of you as a marker. And granted, Connor, for a couple of guys, you know, that were in the KA Shootout last year and are back in it again here this year, as you see Danny now go out, and he basically let those guys clean the racetrack off for a couple of laps before he went out. You know, this is a layout that you won on as well. This is the first layout that we've repeated so far. We've run out, obviously, at a certain point. We've got a threat of weather. But from this racetrack, what stuck out about it to you last year? To me, it seemed like this back section they just came out of, that really bottlenecks the field. And if you can get a guy to battle behind you through that section, that's ultimately what won you that race.
Yeah, when you go too wide through that chicane, it forces you to lift through the left part, and you get the run going into the last corner. So that's really the toughest part on this track, especially for me. I struggled in there throughout the heat races. It's all about being perfect. And that curb there, you can see some of these guys trying to work on how they can get over that curb without upsetting the go-kart. That way they can get the run down into the last corner. So it's all about learning the track and trying to figure out how to get around this track as soon as possible. And then obviously some of these guys, you'll see some of them start to pull in to save their tires once they have the track figured out. You don't just want to be out there burning your tires up. As you can see, Adam Brickley comes in after about 3 laps. So strategy already playing into this.
Talking about curbs, though, a couple drivers we know are good with curbs, Danny Formal and AJ Myers. So I'm really interested to see how those two attack these curbs, because these are definitely a way that these guys are going to be around it. And you can already see the more experienced driver. You got Joe Turney out there. He's kind of leading around some of his other teammates. Maybe it's strategy. Sometimes it helps to have people around you that don't necessarily just want to fight you. If you can get a few guys and get a good relationship going early, you're setting yourself up a little better in the long run. These guys might not make that move that separates you from the lead group. But, yeah, you can see those guys already jumping the curb. Interesting to see, what they're going to do with their sprockets and stuff. This is a much shorter racetrack, so those sprockets are big. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some chains popping later on.
Yeah, I know for me last year we went up 3, 4, 5 teeth for this layout, so it's going to be interesting to see how these guys, when they come into the pits, what changes they're making, gear, go-kart, maybe carburation. It's all gonna play into how they're gonna be able to manage the field in the heat races. And some other thing you got to think about in the heat races is you're not only trying to go fast, you're gonna have to block, you're gonna have to protect, you're gonna have to pass, and that changes the way you think about gearing and setup as well. So there's a lot going in through these drivers' minds right now as they try to figure out what they need out of their go-kart or motor.
And, at that, there's barriers kicked up to those curbs at, throughout the racetrack. So if those get punched at any point, then we're going to see guys four-wheel fly it. As we see Aiden Levy pull off to the side, the lap times obviously continue to get better, both as they not only learn this racetrack, but it does get cleaned off through that pack. You see Brent Cruz pulling off to the wayside. He bails from the group, and he's going to run on his own or maybe pull in this time on that red and white RPM Tony kart. Paulie Massimino is the quickest, though. Dalton Haynes about 2/10 off. Danny didn't get phased at all by letting the first couple laps go. He's third right now over Cruz and Levy, 4th and 5th.
Yeah, these drivers are out there getting some laps in. I mean, 6 laps. Connor, I don't know. What's your opinion on this? I mean, that's quite a few laps to put on a set of tires.
Yeah, you can see Paulie and Dalton pulled in. So if it were me, I'm running 3-4 laps and I'm coming in. As a driver, you got to understand how valuable this session is and what it really means to the long run. I know last year I did about 3 laps and pulled in, and I pulled in before most drivers did. I'm pretty sure I was the first one in the pits. So there's a lot that goes into this, and as a driver, you have to be able to pick up on this track as quick as you can. That way you can save your stuff and give yourself a better shot as you get into the heat races.
Exactly, and now we see Joe Turney sliding into the second spot, and Dalton Haynes there in P2. This group is really close. I mean, a 40.9 is your fastest. Joe's run a 41.0. Dalton Haynes 41.09, almost a 1. Scorpione 41.09, almost the same time as Dalton Haynes. This is really tight, and that's what you see, especially in the KA. The KA class already is a tight class, but you look at this new racetrack, not a lot of experience out here. There's not a lot of chances to really, set the card up differently. This field is going to be close.
One thing that interested me, Adam Brickley not only was slow, he was about a second off and only did 3 laps. So one driver who was the one that qualified so well today had a bad heat race, and that initially put him out. He transferred in as the fastest or the second fastest non-transfer along with Joe Turney. He did not get a lot of laps completed in this one. So people are already pulling in here early to save rubber. You can see Connor Ferris on that black and blue Team Ferris Racing Kart Republic. He's still wanting to get a little more data and run a few more laps here. And along with that, again, everyone's keeping their eyes on the skies, too. Now, that throws a whole new dynamic. Obviously, we know tomorrow, Ryan, for that X30 shootout, you have the added aspect of the set of MG red tires you'll have to run, so there's some tire games to be played. But in this one here, we're going to have potentially wet tires or dry tires go back or forth, and depending how many laps, it doesn't matter, I feel like, as much from, let's say, heat cycle 3 to heat cycle 4, but heat cycle 1 to heat cycle 2, that's a big drop, and that's where, just a couple extra laps that Danny and Adam didn't run, if they're still only on 2 session-old tires, that might make an even bigger difference, no?
It definitely makes a difference. I mean, obviously, right now we're talking to about the MG Reds. These tires are a little bit harder, so they can go a little bit longer in the run. But yeah, I mean, every little bit counts. I mean, this race will come down to a couple tenths, in my opinion. So that little bit will make a difference.
Yeah, as we wrap up lap number 7 or 8 here, we've only got 2 karts left on the track, Connor Ferris and Austin Garrison. So as we've talked about, coming into the pits early is one strategy that's definitely being used, as we see here. Only 2 karts left out there.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see a veteran of Austin Garrison staying out there. But again, he did not have good single lap pace in qualifying. It was a rougher day for Austin Garrison. He went through the B group, qualified 3rd in the B group. That still put him in the 20s to start all 3 of his heat races. He climbed up to about 7th and then kind of plateaued from there. Didn't really get to go any further forward. So he's obviously still going to run a few more laps at the moment. But as this session comes to a close, we'll bring the results up in a moment. How about some results for now? What a way for the Fast 5 shootouts to kick off. You heard Caleb Vieska and Alexander Searle call them. They've got some checks and some awards to present the drivers. Caleb?
Thank you, Xander. Coming up first here with Mr. Travis Pettit, won the Mini Swift Fast 5. Travis, you are $500 richer, my friend. There you go. How do you feel?
I feel amazing. I mean, it's my first national win, and I'm just so proud of myself.
Thanks. Congrats. And coming up next as well, you're good to go, Travis. Coming up next, from the RPM Motorsports Camp, the man himself, Parker Ives. You are $500 richer as well. How does it feel?
Feels so good.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say? Thank you to the team, your parents for bringing you out here this weekend.
I'd like to thank my mom, my dad, RPM, Shane, Rich, my mechanics, everybody who helps me.
Sounds good. Congrats, and he's $500 richer as well. Back to you, Xander.
Our winners in Mini, Travis Pettit and Parker Ives, they find themselves now $500 richer after those Fast 5 shootouts here. So our warm-up completed. Let's go ahead and take you back through the results, and you guys can help us point out what stands out to you so far. Obviously, Paulie Massimino, he hit that lap early in the session on lap number 5, then pulled in instantly after at a 40.918. Joe Turney second, Dalton Haynes third. What else sticks out so far, fellas?
I think we're looking at, AJ Myers, Braden Neves. Braden was fast all week. He was fast in the heat race. I mean, honestly, I watched the heat race, and it looked like he was the fastest out there. And so looking at him, that's a driver that it looks like it's a strategy move to just kind of lay back. You don't want to show your cards too early, especially in this race, because if you go out in the first heat, if you go out and warm up and you're faster than everybody, you're a target. No one wants to let you get ahead. No one wants to let you lead. So you got to play it easy, and you got to play it smooth. I mean, my best race here when I won it, I was really slow in the first 2 heats, and I genuinely think that played into how the race went in the final, because I was able to kind of sit under the radar, and then no one was really caring about me because I thought I was going to just stay back. And so that plays a lot into this. And another one is Austin Garrison. Obviously, he did a lot of laps. Like you said, he didn't have a lot of pace in the actual race itself. In qualifying, he didn't have a lot of pace. In the race, he was, he was moving forward, but not a lot of pace. So, he might be out there just using this as some time to really just dial in the kart some more for tomorrow, or dial in the kart, figure out some engine stuff. It's free lap times basically at this point. If you lose, you lose. You go home with no money, but you did get some valuable track time.
And I think at a time we kind of look down sometimes at the lower horsepower classes as they're easier. And don't get me wrong, the times typically tighten up. But still, when you're looking for that last half-tenth, quarter-tenth, and you know what to hear out of your engine, you know what to feel out of the go-kart. For guys like Austin Garrison, for Danny Formal, that hardly ever drive these types of packages, they don't know exactly what feels good or what feels bad. Maybe they might know what feels good, but not what feels great, and what that little bit of a difference is. That's another benefit of putting extra laps in.
Yeah, so actually Danny races quite a bit in Costa Rica on this engine. So
right.
He does have a lot of experience. He does have a good ear for it. And Austin, these are old school guys. These guys know how to hear. But the thing is it is a different ball game. We see Joe and we see all these drivers. They qualified up front. But it's like Talladega. It's a different sport. It's like why you see Formula One drivers going to NASCAR and they don't win. You know, it's difficult. It's a different animal altogether. And I think a lot of guys kind of underestimate how difficult it is to just go out in KA and win. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. You can't just show up and a one-off and, think it's going to be an easy go. It's going to be a tough one. These guys are real competitors. They're really tough drivers. Again, look at the results today. You have Joe Turney. You have a bunch of these Austin Garrison guys who win in X30 are up front consistently, struggling to stay inside the top 10.
Yeah, and as we look at the results here, Danny, he only ran 3 laps on his tires, and if we look at Paulie or anyone else's third lap, they were only at a 41.9, whereas Danny got down to a 41.1 on his third lap. And these KA tires, they're stiff, so they take a little bit of time to come in. So he did 3 laps, did a 41.1, and pulled into the pits. So I'm thinking he's liking what he has, and he'll be one to watch for sure in the heat races.
Yeah, we'll keep your eye on Danny Formal for sure. 5th in warm-up here with the least amount of laps to be inside the top 10. We go from back to KA seniors. We did have one other Fast 5 race that got underway. What a great finale it was to finish off those Fast 5 prelims in KA100 Junior. And Caleb Viesca standing by with the KA100 Junior Fast 5 winner.
Yeah, obviously Enzo Vinmontien, you as well, my friend, are $500 richer. There's your check. It was an amazing race by you. How does it feel?
It feels great. I walked away, and yeah.
Anybody you want to thank this weekend?
Motaz, Car Republic, my dad, my mom. Yeah.
Sounds good. Congrats, man.
Thank you.
Back to you, Xander.
So Xander's left the booth. It's actually just me and Connor. We're going to solo this deal.
Oh, boy.
Connor, you've won this race 2 times in a row. How much does experience play into this, and how much is just kind of luck of the draw?
I'd say 95%. I'll go 75% is skill, and then you got to have some luck. Obviously, some guys that might be really fast can get stuck in someone else's mess in a heat race with someone trying to do too much. There's a lot of pressure on this event. So some of these guys that might be looking to make their breakout win might do something a little bit on the aggressive side and make a mistake and catch you off guard, because you could pull the number 16 and start at the back and be at the other people's mercy. So obviously you got to keep it in on the racetrack and not have anything go wrong. But there's still a lot of strategy and skill that goes into this. Making your way from the back in these heat races is tough, and if you get a low or a high number on the pill draw, it can be really tough to come from the back and make up the ground. So it'll be interesting to see what these guys do in these heat races. Personally, if it were me, I'd want to draw a higher number. While these people are still trying to figure out the racetrack in the first heat race, you can make up some ground, and then when everyone's got it figured out for the second heat race, you'll start up front and kind of just be able to stay up there. But it's tough. This event's got a lot of as I said, a lot of pressure, and there's a lot of tension in the air, and you can feel it already as we start getting ready to go for Heat 1.
Yeah, and so something interesting you touched on there is obviously starting in the back of these heat races. If you're starting towards the back, again, a lot of experience here. What passing zones, where are you looking for on the racetrack to make this? Because obviously, not only is this track different, but it changes the power band of the engine. It changes where you're able to actually get runs on drivers. So even though the hairpins are normally a good passing zone, it might not be the same on this layout. So does the track race really well, or is it difficult to make passes on this layout?
It's definitely a lot tougher, but as you go into turn 3 over there, it widens up a lot, and there's a lot of space to make a move down there. The hairpin obviously is a good move, but when you're starting at the back, you want to make your moves fast, and you want to not lose a lot of time because you got to get through the field. So that's another thing to think about when you're starting further back. You got to make smart moves.
Let's go ahead and send it on down to hear from a guy that just drove that track for the first time, did
sweaty.
a lot of laps. Yeah, Austin Garrison standing by down on pit lane. Caleb?
Yeah, thank you, Xander. Here we have Austin Garrison. Seems like your guys are busy at work at the moment. What'd you learn that session?
I didn't really push too hard when I was out there. I was kind of trying to figure out like the back section, the last couple of corners, which is, it's pretty weird for me. But besides that, I think we're a little bit low on gear, so we're going to go and make a little adjustment on that, a little tire pressure adjustment, and then we're going to go on from there.
Sounds good. Thank you, Austin. And as we're going to work our way over here to the MPG guys, as Braden Eves are working on his card at the moment. See if we can get a quick word from Braden Eves here. Joe Turney as well is here, both Kart Republic guys. Braden, quick interview here. How'd you feel at that session? Obviously, what'd you learn? Seems like your guys are hard at work as well.
Feel pretty good. Car feels good. Felt like I kind of got the track in a couple laps, but was a bit big on sprocket, so definitely have a lot better pace than the lap time that we showed, but I'm happy.
Sounds good. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Moving on here, right next to him, we have Joe. He has his helmet on at the moment, so I don't think we'll be able to get him. AJ Myers over here, so we can catch him really quick. AJ, quick word from you. Sorry, I know you just put your helmet on, but how are you feeling coming into this race? What'd you learn that session?
I learned which way the track went, and now I'm just bracing for impact. Let's see where this thing goes.
Sounds good. Best of luck.
Thanks.
Thank you. Back to you, Xander.
Thank you, Caleb. So there you hear it. Quick words from everybody as they get set on the grid. Let's see if we can pull up what everything is going on down there. There is the timer from race director Justin Dittrich. 3 minutes for the drivers to get everything ready. Brandon Lemke, you can see he's starting to suit on up. So is Anthony Rivera, one of the father-son duos, getting some extra help from Gonzalo Aponte, the AKT Racing Team owner and Energy Card importer. There's Paulie Massimino.
That's a good setup
Look
there.
at
I like
these
that,
guys.
man. Lights and everything.
Oh,
well,
man.
You know Brandon Jarczyk and Eddie have a dirt track racing background. When they got the light, the full tent set up, they know exactly what needs to happen when it comes to pit stops under the lights. They're ready.
You know what I'm missing right now? I want the Alex Stanfield lights on the go-kart. I miss that. Nobody out here has got those. That's the cool stuff.
Yeah, no one's bringing it out. Ryan, you got to do something here. Get some Norberg Nation like LEDs on the go-kart.
I gotta make the race first. I gotta do that or start kissing up to Eric. It's one or the other.
Look at that, Paulie. Hey. Good evening to you too, Paulie Massimino.
I think Paulie talks too much, and he's trying to do the Stone Cold thing now. He's really reversing it.
He's going back to his old Paulie. Remember,
Yeah, exactly.
old Paulie used to be Stone Cold.
Happy hour, Paulie.
Yeah, happy hour, Paulie. How about that? So we're going to take that camera all the way back down the top of the grid. Looks like they're just about ready. That whistle is typically the 1 minute signal. 2?
Yeah, they're doing 2 whistles for 2 minutes and 1 whistle for 1 minute. So I don't know how many whistles they blew, but that's the idea that I heard when I was listening to the meeting.
Yeah, at least you went to the drivers' meeting. I know Ryan didn't.
I was there.
No.
I wasn't paying attention.
No, that wasn't drivers' meeting. That was Justin's mechanics meeting.
Very stern one.
See, he does his intel before he comes on the broadcast.
It was a very stern meeting.
Yes.
Look at this guy.
See, we do our research here, Ryan.
Yeah, come on, Ryan.
Drivers getting hydrated. Look at that, man. It's going to be a battle. That's the thing, and I always stress it, and I sound probably like a broken clock. This race is really intense, and it's so hard, I think, mentally to get in and out of race mode. Austin Garrison jokes about it sometimes. You get into race mode. There is a race mode you get into, and to get in and out of it, and to deal with the stress of coming off the racetrack, maybe things aren't going well, and kind of just resetting on a dime and going back out. There is a lot to it, and Connor Ferris is drinking water. That's smart because you forget to drink water this whole time. You're so caught up in it, you don't feel anything, and then after the night, you go to sit in bed, and you're like, wow, I'm sore. I was really fighting it the whole time, and I just, blacked it out and just focused on driving.
How many laps does it take for Brent Cruz to go to the white line on the bottom?
That's a good question. We'll see. Maybe we go over and ask him. Maybe you should go over and ask him here in the next one when he gets from the back to the front, because we know he knows how to race his way around here. We'll send you guys on some grid walks as well, like Caleb, bring him into the booth and have some more fun here tonight. But check it out, folks. They're getting set to go green. Let's go ahead and take a look and see if we can find out where they're going to all line up. You look back here on the middle of the pack. These are guys probably in the best case scenario you would think. Starting midfield, that means you're not too far back in either heat, not too far forward. For Brent, well, he's going to be pole. Like you said, he might be white-lining it.
That's a scary spot to be in.
but he's got to go tail end Charlie of 16 cars. Biggest shootout we've ever seen. Same with AJ Myers. He'll join him on the back row for heat number 2, but at least the two of them, two drivers who were very fast, by the way. Remember, both of them in the top 10 that automatically transferred off of speed through quali in heat 1. So these guys, you would think, might be able to set the benchmark.
What you want to look, though, look at this top 5. Brent Cruz, AJ Myers, Danny, Lemke, Turney. I mean, that is, and Eves on the outside. That is a crazy front row, front 3 rows, and then those guys all have to start in the back. I mean, that is a ridiculously tough group to be in, and we talk about it a lot. You know, when you're heat racing and stuff, you're like, I got the hard group, you know, because I'm with all the good drivers. They got the hard group. That's the hard one to be in, because even when you're going to be marching through the field, you know, you just want open racetrack. You don't have to deal with somebody else who's also marching through the field, and that's going to be an interesting dynamic for these guys. I mean, I don't know if it was intentional, but this pill pick seemed like they put a lot of the fast drivers right next to one another.
It'll be interesting to see what they do here as they get their tires warmed up. They only got one warm-up lap, so as the sun starts to set and the track starts to cool down, you got to get the temp in the tires quick. Hopefully most of these drivers got their clear shields on. It's starting to get dark out here, and I know this track gets tough. I remember last year I forgot to change my visor, and I was hitting curbs left and right, and it was not good. So as the sun starts to set here for heat 1, getting ready to go, Brent Cruz on the front row with AJ Myers, and it'll be interesting to see what the strategy is here as we start going.
Yeah, and again, these 10 laps on this short racetrack, we saw it 40 to 41 second lap times. That's a lot slower than the X30 shootout used. That'll be the alternate track for heats 2 and 3 tomorrow. This race is going to fly by. They all know it. Brent Cruz, AJ Myers, the front row. Danny Formal on row number 2 alongside Brandon Lemke. Row 3, Joe Turney and Braden Eves. Row 4, Jordan Hernandez, the fan vote alongside Anthony Rivera. And the end of your top 10 has Adam Brickley on the inside and Austin Garrison on the outside. We're green down at turn number 1. Brent Cruz leads the field. Do we survive? Look at Leo Scorpioni, way wide through 1 and 2. Tried to go through the cut through as they go through turn number 3, and Turney already going to get into 4th, Myers into 3rd. Brent Cruz leads into the hairpin with Formal right on him, and
right to the bottom.
Half a lap right there, Connor, right to the white line.
There you go, Danny pushing Brent Cruz. At this point, there's an interesting strategy, and there you go, turning back to 3rd. He was fine with Lemke there. I think he knows that his pace wasn't, super good earlier today. He's going to try and stay in that lead group and stay moving forward. There's a big gap, though. That top 5 is separated already, and there you go, AJ Myers, the 2nd place.
Aggression. That's the key to this, is being aggressive but being smart. As you can see, AJ already up into P2. He started on the outside, lost a spot, but we'll see how patient these guys get when they get up to Brent. I know Brent's going to be looking back after almost every corner to see where these guys are at. Just being aware of his surroundings and knowing where everyone is at when they're behind him.
They're fighting further behind, and that's Braden Eves there. He was getting a little bit away from that pack. He's in the 6th position. He's running down that front group. Brent Cruz, though, kind of stretching his legs. I don't know. Does this seem like he's got, he was hiding some pace there in the warm-up? I mean, he's really showing it. As soon as I say that, he's getting caught back up. So that's an announcer's curse. I'm sorry. I just ruined it.
Now, I will say AJ Myers and Danny Formal, they did have a little bit of a run-in heat number 1. And right there, Brent Cruz straight to the white line. And guess what? You have 2 of the oldest drivers behind you, 3 of them really, and 4 even with Lemke as he dive bombs on Turney for 4th. I don't think Danny Formal and AJ Myers take kindly to kind of defending like that early in a heat race.
No, I think it'll only last a few more corners before one of them kind of, lets him out. And there you go, Danny trying the outside. It didn't work. Those are moves you're going to want to, practice a little bit, because at the end of the race, you might have to use that if everybody's blocking. But right now, Brent Cruz leading the way. AJ Myers tucked in right behind. Danny Formal, all bumper to bumper going into the last corner.
Yeah, AJ's not going to stay here for long as he's trying to find a way by. Almost starting to get desperate here as you saw him go over a curb there, trying to find a way to the inside. Brent Cruz, 3 laps in, though, still leading as he goes straight back down to the white line, blocking these 5 karts, and this is going to bring Aiden Levy and Braden Eves back in. They had about a 2-second lead on those guys, but that is diminishing quickly as they go into turn 8 here.
And your enemies can sometimes become your best friends. I mean, AJ Myers and Danny Formal right now, they might have had a little bit of a problem early on, but they're going to probably try and work together to get by Brent Cruz. And here you see Danny going to the inside of AJ Myers. He tried to do the outside move. Oh, contact! A couple drivers sideways. Lemke gets back into fourth. Turney.
Oh,
and there's a driver
Levy's
in the
in the wall.
barrier.
Aiden Levy pounds the outside wall coming through the chicane. Brent Cruz holds the lead. This is the best case scenario if you had a bad starting spot and Levy was charging forward. He absolutely pile drive that outside wall. He crosses the line down in 10th, probably with a bent go-kart, but he had the fastest lap of the race. He was moving, and Brent Cruz, through all that, buys himself some more time, about 3 car lengths.
Yeah, that's exactly what I talk about being patient. You got to be aggressive, but you can't do that, especially when you're the fastest kart on the racetrack. You can't make those decisions that'll take you out of contention. As you can see, he's fallen back. He's still got the fastest lap of the race, but his go-kart's probably got issues, and he's going to have to come in and fix his go-kart rather than make it go faster.
As these leaders are coming by, one driver to make note of is Pauly Massimino. He's in the back of the pack. He hasn't seemed to found his rhythm yet and to work his way back up through the field. He was a fast driver all through the heats today and all through qualifying, but he seems to not be able to get through the field. But there you go, Brent Cruz. He squeaked out a little bit of a lead again. What strategy you see AJ Myers signaling to Brent? Stop blocking. Let's work together. I don't buy it.
I don't trust that at all.
I don't trust it.
I never trust the guy in front of me, man. Come on. They don't. Why? They're not out there to help you.
No, they're hoping that he opens the door and they go on by. But I will say, if they did want to follow him, they might get away. Turney's not running up to them, and I don't think Brent's all that big of a slouch. 41-3 last time. That was pretty much even down the board.
As he goes by,
there
open the door. There it is.
Yep.
Sold him the dummy. And there
Straight
you go,
to the bottom.
straight to the bottom.
Oh, man.
Brent's going to go to the top and try and make something happen, but there's nothing up there. AJ's still leading this. Brent's going to be looking for a way by now. I know he loves to control the race and get to the front, so he's not liking this second position right now.
This is really 3 shifter drivers, honestly. I mean, AJ's a shifter driver, Danny and Brent. They all have a ton of shifter experience, and you can see in the way they're blocking. I mean, just stopping it on the apex. No one's really able to get a run right now. And there you go, Brent Cruz the inside.
I told you it wouldn't take long.
Look at AJ through the grass. There's Danny.
Turney 3 wide. This is not going to work.
Oh, my goodness. Hello,
Lemke.
Brandon Lemke to the outside. They're freight trained on the bottom. He's going to probably end up in the wall.
AJ's gone. AJ is gone right now. That's going to be...
Oh!
Crashing on the straightaway.
They're still stuck together. Brandon Lemke, Austin Garrison, Joe Turney. There is more chaos. Levy's back in it, and like you boys said, thank you very much, fellas. AJ Myers looks back. There is nobody home.
And Garrison just got the worst of that, just driving by, trying to avoid the accident. And Lemke, some contact forced him straight down to the inside of the racetrack. That's going to create some problems with the karts. I mean, now you're talking about having 10 minutes to not only try setup, but to fix a go-kart.
Yeah, Paulie's struggling here. He started 14th, and he's only up a few spots here. He got lucky there that last lap, made it through the chaos without too much damage, but we'll see if he'll be able to make up a few more spots. He'll be starting up front in the next heat race, so just trying to make up as many spots here to get yourself some good points.
The real question is how many drivers had a drop down in that scenario? You had guys going straight through the chicane and then parking it. I mean, Danny, he rubbed up on him. Everybody, Lemke, all those guys, they all might have some contact there that might create a drop down. There you go, Danny to the inside. That's for second place. Can he hold it? This is where Cruz's best passing zone was. It seems like he's going to hold it. At this point, I think Danny's probably going to start stretching it out. Brent didn't seem super quick up front, so Danny's probably going to try and stretch this one out and run down AJ.
Danny is good through that chicane. He gets over that curb smooth as butter.
Yeah, as he likes to say, the go-karts typically move when you pop them over a curb. For Danny, the go-kart doesn't move, Danny moves. And he's able to absorb all that when he jumps it, and it just looks, like you said, like butter. Now, I will say I thought Brent might have let him go and fallen too far back, but he looks better now. This is the final lap, by the way. Last time into the hairpin for Mallow. Brent High. Turney has survived all this and is still fourth right there. He could play spoiler as they go door to door. Crossover City. Cruz is going to put one over on Danny Formal into the chicane. And then he's just got to block in that final turn up the hill. Last time, this is for second. AJ Myers is long gone. And out of the final turn, it'll be AJ Myers in heat 1. Behind him, Cruz, Formal, Turney, Eves.
That was an exciting heat race. And if that's just a little bit of what we're going to have in the feature, we're going to have an exciting race on our hands.
But as a driver, you got to start picking it up on this. AJ Myers, very fast out front. Danny Formal, also quick out front. You got Turney, he's got some pace. He's staying with that group, doesn't seem super quick. So as a driver, you've got to pay attention to these guys, and you got to make sure you keep them behind you. But one interesting thing to note, Pauly Massimino never seemed to get a run going there. He was fast all weekend. He was fast in the warm-up. didn't seem to get something going there. And it could just be chassis, but didn't seem to have the pace.
He was even fast there on that last lap, 40.89. That was 100th off of Danny's time, just couldn't get through. He was going for a little bit, and then the whole pack got trapped. You saw on your screen the damage to Brandon Lemke's Millwright Racing Tony Kart. That NASA panel is destroyed, Connor.
Yeah, and that's one thing to think about. Do you focus on fixing the NASA panel, or do you try and fix the setup and make the kart better? You got to kind of weigh these things in and see what you want to work on, as you have only a few minutes to work on the go-kart in between these two sessions.
Yeah, it is a 10-minute window now that begins once the last car rolls on in. So here we go, folks. It's time, crunch time after heat number 1 to get things started. We're going to take a quick commercial break from the action while things continue to roll down on pit lane. When we come back, it'll be interviews coming to you live here from Trackhouse Motorplex as the sun sets on the CNC Performance Engineering KA Shootout. $500 already to the way of AJ Myers.
Has steadily made progress since its inception in October 2021. On top of servicing the Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana areas with products from Kart chassis, Tillotson Karts and Engines, IAME, Briggs, Honda, and more, they're now promoting race events as well throughout the mid and coastal South region at NOLA Motorsports Park and Finish Line Performance Karting in Biloxi, Mississippi. Races are already set for the fall of 2022. September 3rd, October 22nd, and November 12th at NOLA Motorsports Park, and 2 dates, September 10th and October 15th at Finish Line Performance Karting. Driver Line is set to finish this year strong.
All right, let's go down to pit lane here, ladies and gentlemen. Ryan Norberg and AJ Myers going to do some pit reporting, fellas. Let's send it on to you, Ryan. Oh, Ryan, I think you might need to turn your microphone on. Hold that button down.
Okay, I'm not used to this. So this is Ryan Norberg here with Kart Chaser. AJ Myers. Interesting race. Obviously, you're stuck behind Brent there. He was defending a lot. You kind of gave him a little bit of the signal there, like, let's work together. Was that a little bit of the magic from the Magic Kart working? Because it seemed to tell him, you know, let's work together. Let's not race so hard.
I mean, I would have gone if we could have gone, but I'm not going to sit behind and get white line for the whole race. So, I mean, mine's been games, but
yeah. Well, you seem to get out front. Obviously, everything kind of went on behind you. How do you feel about the kart? Are you going to make any changes at this point? You're mentioning the steering hub was loose. Was that really affecting the go-kart the whole time?
not the balance, just the feeling. No, not many changes. Just going to start from the back this time. Obviously, I had the good track position. Now I got to do it from the back to ensure I get that front row, hopefully, starting spot.
Yeah. So obviously, you know, you didn't have a lot of practice passing? You just had Brent in front of you. Any particular parts of the racetrack that you're going to be looking forward to when you're coming through the field?
Last turn, turn 1. I mean, if they don't block, it's inside.
Okay. So hopefully they stay with us. This is Connor and I. We're kind of doing a co-thing here. We're just going to kind of walk around. Connor, who do you want to interview next? We can just kind of let's do Levy here. Connor, take over for there.
Levy, come here. I want to talk to you here. You got a second? So you were really fast at the beginning there and then got caught up in a bit of a mess. It kind of walked me through what happened there and how you were able to rebound and get back up towards the front.
Well, I honestly can't remember. There was so much chaos happening out there. I just remember about someone getting into the side of me just a little bit, maybe about going straight into the wall. So it's definitely sketchy, but it's all good. It's fun.
Yeah, you're going to start a little bit further up front here. What is your strategy as you come into this next race? Are you going to try and get to the front and protect, or are you going to try and work with someone and kind of gain some ground that way? What's your strategy going into Heat 2 here?
It really just depends how everything plays out, but I mean, I really just want to try and get to the front and hopefully maybe try and push away. But if there's people behind, I obviously can't do that. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, good luck. We'll be watching. Who's next? Who's next?
You take over. Okay. Where is Austin? We're looking for Austin here. Austin Garrison.
Austin Garrison.
Man, I feel bad taking these guys.
I do too, but it's part of the show. Austin Garrison. You had a good run. You got into, I think, 6 at one point. You seemed to just be avoiding an accident, and all of a sudden there was a go-kart in front of you. What happened from your end?
So I think Lemke and Turney got into it coming onto the front straightaway here, and then I went down to the inside, and they got collected and went right super hard, and then Lemke ended up smashing in the side of me, and there was nothing really I could do. Couldn't go anywhere. The pace was good, but after that, it wasn't.
Well, why was it not good? Is there something wrong with the go-kart?
No, actually, the go-kart wasn't bent. It was just my front bumper got pushed up underneath my chassis for like a whole lap, and I couldn't even turn. So after that, I got dirt on my tires. I was blocking, getting past, and then checker flag came out.
So this is your first shootout, right?
Very first.
How do you like it? You know, what's so new about it? It's an experience nonetheless, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely fun because I know like the front pack never will break away, so there's always a fighting chance all the way to the last lap. But it's also not fun to get into a wreck and then you make up all that ground and then you lose it all. So.
Exactly.
Name of the game.
Exactly. Well, good luck, Austin. Yeah, get it done.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we're going to go to Danny now.
He's a mechanic.
Oh. Danny's a little busy. Maybe. No.
You're a teammate.
I'll get in trouble if I do that.
Come on, there's enough blue shirts around there, Ryan. You can get in there. What? That's your boys. That's your posse.
Right,
Look at he's running away.
We're going to Brent Cruz.
Yeah, go to someone that'll talk to us. Come on, Norberg Nation,
Cruz,
afraid of his
where
own
we
team.
at? Brent Cruz, you're on your phone. Why are you on Snapchat, bud? We're racing here. Get off your phone. So you got to the lead there and went to the bottom, and then AJ signaled you to go. You listened to him, opened up for one corner, and he stuffed you. That's one of the moves you would do on me. So what's it like getting bamboozled like that?
Yeah, I think it's tough to white line like that for the whole race, right? When you're racing against guys this good, right? They're going to find a way behind you or in front of you or beside you and wrecked, right? And that's just kind of how it works. We'll take our second place and then try to get it from the back.
I know you got the first starting spot for that heat race, and you're going to have to start last in this one. What were your kind of thoughts when you got that? Did you like that idea of starting first for the first race and last for the second one, or were you a little bit nervous as you go into the heat races?
Yeah, I think your goal, right, is to start right in the middle so you have a shot to win both. I think that's the best call, but somehow that's how it works.
Yeah, that's racing. Well, good luck out there. Hopefully you can come through the field and get you some more spots.
Thank you.
Where are we going? Where are we going? Where are we going? Paulie Massimino coming here live with Car Chaser. You had a bit of a chaos further back, but came through the field, got stuck in some incidents, but you seemed like good speed there on that last lap. So kind of just walk me through what you felt there. Obviously, you're smiling like you're the happiest man on the earth right now. So tell me what you're feeling.
Pace is good. It's just kind of when you start so far back, it's kind of hard to get up in there. And it seems like as soon as you can get there, you just get shit on. So, yeah, I think we have a good pace. I just think I need to be a little bit more aggressive. I still need this kart to race tomorrow and Sunday. So, These guys are going at it, and yeah, we'll see.
So that's your mindset. You got to race tomorrow. You're not really focusing on the $4,000 right here.
For sure I am, but I'm not going to total my equipment.
Yeah, I like that idea. You're starting at the front this time.
Okay. Yeah, you're starting at the front this time. Obviously a different strategy, but it seemed like you could never really get a rhythm going out there. Obviously that's really big in KA. Not a KA driver, but what are you planning on doing now you're out front? Is there a different strategy?
I mean, I wish I was starting first. I'd pull a little trick on the start, but that seems to work. I think, like I said, I think we have good pace. Even on that last lap, that's when I went the quickest, and I was still blocked all the way through the hairpin and everything like that. So I think we got good pace. I just maybe try to, hopefully they don't all block, and tell them to go and push them for a little bit or see what happens.
Okay. Thank you, Paulie. Good luck, man. And I think that's, I mean, everybody else seems pretty busy. How much? Braden Eves, okay, I'll let you get on in there, Connor.
You not a Braden Eves fan?
No, we're good friends.
Okay, that's what I thought. Braden Eves, he's drinking water, getting hydrated. Smart man, smart man. As we come through here, we got blower on the motor. Braden, how'd that heat race go? Kind of walk me through. You started towards the front, but you got some fast guys behind you for the start of this heat race. So what's your strategy coming through the field?
I'm trying to survive. The final is going to be 18 laps, and around here, I mean, it's a lot of corners, so trying to sort of keep risk-reward in mind because there's a bunch of people that are just so obvious that they're going to crash right in front of me, and I just sit behind them, and they crash. So trying to kind of just sit where I'm at and try and, take anything that I can get. But everyone's so close in times, and there's so many good drivers at the front that, I mean, honestly, I started almost too close to the front. It was just too hard to make up any positions other than from crashes. But, I'm feeling good. I think we're going to keep dialing in the chassis a little bit more, and hopefully I can be there at the end of the final.
Yeah, you obviously talked about the desperation levels are getting high, and it's only the first heat race. So what do you think that's going to turn into towards the final? You think guys are going to start crashing, or what do you think is going to go on as we get further into the night?
I think that there's a lot of people that have beefs going on around in the field because, I don't know, I mean, everyone's just definitely over the limit on the aggression. I mean, I nearly got wiped out right on the straightaway. There was like 5 people, it seemed like, that just like, I don't know, they're all coming together and everyone's just turning into each other, and then they're crashing on the straightaway. So that's not my favorite thing. So I'll try and get through them when they crash.
Well, good luck out there. Cool, calm, collected Braden Eves. He's coming back through the field for this heat race. He's going to have some work to do, but we're going to go find Joe Turney. Who do we want? Danny Formal, Joe Turney. Let's go talk to Joe Turney here. Oh, we're talking to Danny. All right, where's Danny? Both. All right, Joe Turney. Joe, we're here with Kart Chaser Live. You finished, 4th in that heat race? Bit of a chaotic heat race. We'll turn around here. Kind of walk me through the desperation levels and how guys are racing out there.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, every position counts for where you start for the final. Everyone's trying to go forward. No one wants to go back, so it's pretty tight.
Yeah, obviously, there's a lot of chaos out there, and it's only the first heat race. So what do you think that's going to lead to towards the end of the night?
Well, you don't get anything for the first heat, but you get a lot for the final, so it's going to be pretty mad.
Yeah, veteran Joe Turney here. He's got a strategy going into this heat race. He'll roll off 12th for this one. Danny Formal, though, rolling off 14th. Had a lot of speed, purple in that last heat race. Starting further back here, you got a lot of fast guys around you. What's the strategy for this heat race?
Oh, man, I was driving safe. A lot of blocking, a lot of nonsense going on out there. It was clean. I was trying to be as clean as possible. The go-kart was a rocket ship. So did a few changes here to try to pass more people. Hopefully me and Joe could go up, pass a couple more guys and get a top 5 starting spot for the final.
Well, good luck out there. As you can hear, some of these veteran guys have a little bit of a different mindset. Braden Eves, Joe Turney, Danny Formal, they're all kind of staying cool and calm. It's only the first heat race. They're got a little bit of a different mindset than some of these younger guys that are going out there and trying to win every single lap. So it'll be interesting to see how the night plays out and how these mindsets change and how these guys get to the front.
Thank you, Connor, as we get set to watch a little bit more of the action here tonight. Ryan, you're back in the booth. Connor's working his way back. You didn't want to do one interview when you handed it off there.
I walked over there, and the boss man looked at me, and I was like, That's a no. So I am not getting paid to do Kart Chaser, so I like my
Oh,
real
no,
job.
that's not the one I'm referencing. You know exactly the one I'm referencing when you hand it off at the end there. We talk about beefs between guys. You and Braden Eves, you're telling me you're not best friends
dude.
anymore.
We are competitors. It's work, man. We're all competitors here. We all work hard, so it's all part of it.
Man,
yeah.
there is some pressure in the air out here, and I'm not even racing.
Yeah.
I feel it as an announcer. I feel like I might be more stressed right now than I was when I raced this last year.
It does, man. Tensions get high, and that's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of these times, we have hours between races, and so you get into an accident with another driver. There causes some beef. You got time to cool down. You know, the better heads prevail, basically. But in these races, you're stuck in it. You know, you're still hot from the last race. You haven't had a chance to cool down, and yeah, you remember that stuff. You definitely don't want enemies in this race.
No. Bad time to make them early here. Connor, what have you noticed so far as we take a look at the grid sheets?
Yeah, looking at the grid sheets here, we got Frankie Mossman on the pole, Dalton Haynes to his outside, Scorpione starting third, and Levy starting fourth. So a little bit more of a younger group of guys starting at the front of this heat race. So I know the veterans were all talking about how crazy everybody was, and it's only the first heat race. So having these younger guys starting at the front that these veterans were almost making fun of, it's going to be interesting to see what these guys do as they get into this second heat race here.
The real question is, do we see the same thing as last time? I mean, obviously, I think it was kind of obvious. I mean, Connor pointed it out, but you had some fast drivers right behind Brent Cruz. I think Brent probably knew he wasn't going to be the fastest in that. And then we got the 1 minute board. The driver's about to hit the racetrack, but, you know, Brent had one option there, and it was trying to hold everybody back, because if you let him go, it's going to be a tough one. But you definitely have a different dynamic here. I mean, you got Frankie Mossman. He's not a rookie, but he's one of the younger drivers. There's Aiden Levy, Paulie Massimino. He's an experienced driver. He's a veteran, but you know he didn't have the pace in the last one, or didn't have the ability to move through the field in the last one. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how these drivers attack this race.
I think that's one good thing talking about the young guys, right? I mean, I think everybody knows they got to make it to the main. Everyone knows there's money on the line in each race. But where the veterans understand, and I think it only comes from experience of probably going through the beefs and having guys frustrated with you, is the last thing you want to do is make enemies for third or fourth or fifth in these early heat races. And you see some guys, the young guys, when they come into a class, Connor, you were this guy. Granted, you started off hot, probably where it got that chip off your shoulder, but it does feel whenever we get these younger drivers up to the front, the rookies, the second-year seniors that haven't won a number of big races, maybe they've won one, maybe they haven't won one yet, they've got this pressure on themselves to perform, and it's kind of, you know, tunnel vision, whereas you get to the veterans that have won these before, have been in these scenarios before, they're like, yeah, you know what, even hearing it from Braden's interview, I'm fine to ride fit. These guys are trying to wreck. They're getting mad at each other. I don't need to be a part of that right now.
Yeah, definitely. Respect is a big part of racing, and you got to earn your respect on the racetrack. And going out there and white lining on the first lap or dive bombing someone early in a race is not how you gain that respect. So it'll be interesting to see what these guys do in this second heat race, if they're going to cool things down or if we're going to have another chaotic heat race. But it'll be a wild one for sure as we head into the second heat race, getting ready to go green.
Let's take him around the final corner here, folks. Frankie Mossman on that black and orange Tesoro Raceworks CRG leads him to green. $500 already to the way of AJ Myers. $500 for this one on the outside on that white and orange Kart Republic. It's Dalton Haynes. Private's here as well. Aiden Levy starts third. Massimino is fourth. Fifth there in line, fifth in line is Massimino as they head down to turn number one. Fourth on the grid. Fifth there was Connor Ferris. Massimino ended up lining up P4. He gets into third. We're underway. Out of the opening hairpin. Everyone looks like they've made it so far. It is single file and fast Frankie Mossman. Do we see some low lining in the hairpin? We will. Dalton Haynes way wide, but he stays in second there, and he's going to get a rocket run. That's the risk reward you were talking about, Ryan. Going wide on that hairpin, hoping you won't get dive bombed. You're going to get a much better exit.
Much more mellow start. I think you saw the veteran drivers in the back. They're almost single file by the time they got into the first corner. But right now, Frankie Mossman to the inside of the racetrack. He's already starting to defend. He left the door open early, and Dalton, he didn't pass him. They trusted one another. But right now, he's already down to the inside of the racetrack, and now that's bringing the whole field together. That's what driver off. Connor Ferris. There you go.
Way wide was Ferris here. They're all still stacked up behind, but that's terrible news for him on his better heat racing starting position. Look at Massimino, high then low. He's got a nose on Haynes. We're three wide for the lead in turn 8, and Paulie Massimino is through. Levy to second. Haynes and Mossman back to third and fourth, Connor.
Yeah, that's not what Frankie wanted. He obviously doesn't have as much speed as these other guys, so he wanted to stay out front there. Paulie has a lot of speed, and he's got himself a little bit of a gap built up. as we head into lap number 2 here. It's going to be pretty wild to see if Paulie can drive away here, or if Aiden, who is also really fast, will be able to catch up as Frankie Euro swerves Dalton Haynes down to the straightaway.
Oh, yeah.
Big movers right now. We have Danny Formel already into 8th place, Joe Turney into 7th place. Those guys are in the back, and there you go. Danny's getting another 2. He got by Turney and Garrison in one corner.
Yeah, Turney kind of muscled Austin Garrison off the line a little bit there in turn number 3. And look at that mad scram. A.J. Myers 3 wide on the bottom side. Here comes Brent Cruz to his bumper. Lemke able to get that nose cone replaced. He's there. Rivera's there, and Ferris at the end of the line. But at the end of the second lap, Paulie Massimino with that killer 3-wide move to get through will lead us on the front stretch, and he's starting to pull away a little bit with Aiden Levy.
These are 2 drivers that have raced together a ton. I mean, there's 2 local guys, so they know how to get around here. 2 KA, pros. These are the guys that race this class. And so that experience is playing through, and you see Dalton Haynes looking back at a Scorpione and saying, let's work together. Let's try and run these guys down. Let's not create a big pack because this might not work out well for us. But right behind them, Danny Formal started at the back of the field. He's up 8 spots. He's our highest mover right now, and he is running down to Scorpione. I think it's a few more laps before he's on their bumper.
Yeah, how about it for the big man here as he closes up to the rookie Leo Scorpione, his senior debut on that black and yellow Zanella Racing Tony Kart 5th. And you've got one of the winningest drivers in this sport over the last 2 decades bearing down on you. What is that like as a young driver, Connor? You're the one most recent that can remember. It's like going up against your heroes.
Yeah, being the rookie in one of these star fields it puts a lot of pressure on you, and you got to perform. And I'm really impressed with Leo, honestly. He's been doing really good. He's had a lot of speed in these 2 heat races. So, I'm really impressed with how he's done, and I haven't really seen a lot out of him. This is really the first few times that I've seen him up at the front, especially in the senior category. I think you said it was his first race in senior. So to be running with these guys this early in his senior career is really impressive, as Danny's already up into 4th place, purple by over a 10.5 over everybody in the field with a pass on that lap. So Danny is definitely one to watch, as we got about 5 laps to go here in this race.
As they head through the infield here, you can see the big man bearing down on Dalton Haynes. That's the next target. If the Costa Rican goes all the way forward here in this one, gets a top 5 in heat 1 and wins heat number 2, well, that could dramatically put a target on his back for the 18-lap feature. Now, he's got a long way to go, as you can see from that wide shot. Formal 4th, it's Haynes, then Levy, then Massimino, who is still pretty quick on his own up front. And you saw a moment ago how far back Frankie Mossman, the pole man, had faded. He was 6th last time by across the line ahead of Joe Turney. This time by, he is 7th and continuing to drop like a rock. The next driver in line to get by him will be Braden Eves. So we've got this battle forming for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th between Haynes, Levy, and Formal, and battle still further back as the bigger swarm has kind of subsided, and we've, like you said, Ryan, been a lot more mellow this heat.
It definitely has. I think a lot of the drivers didn't want to do like they did the last time. I mean, nobody really likes that racing. It's fun for a couple laps, but in the end, everybody's like, all right, we can relax. But Danny's definitely working his way through, and I think this is exactly the kind of scenario he wants. He wants a little bit of space in between each driver, because when you see a driver run up on you like that, your only concern is, let's keep him behind me. But if there's a driver in front of you, you're going to let him go. You're going to let him chase that guy down too. So in this scenario, it kind of works well for Danny. We got 3 to go this time by. It's one of those situations. You're not going to get the win. Paulie's well ahead, but a good starting position. You might not want to risk any, aggressive move this late into run.
Yeah, Danny's 4th right here. He had a 2nd place or a 3rd place in the first heat race, so he's looking pretty good here. He's probably sitting pretty calm here in 4th place, knowing he'll have a good starting position for the main, and that's really all he's worried about. He doesn't really care about finishing 4th or 3rd. He just wants to finish the race and get himself a decent starting spot for the feature, which in this position right here he has.
And right now, Braden Eves has A.J. Myers breathing down his neck. There's a little group going on back there. And there you go, Danny Formal up into turn 3. He's going to go into the 3rd position. Right now, he's got speed. He's pointing. He's saying, let's go. We can get a couple more. And for sure, he can get a couple more. And there you see the battle for 7th and 8th. That's A.J. Myers. That's your first heat winner, struggling to make it through the field. He had to start a few positions. There's contact. Garrison's through the dirt.
Yeah, Frankie Mossman getting the elbows out, and Garrison didn't like that. He got back to his bumper there. It kind of hurt Brent Cruz more than anything. He goes wide. Lemke gets through both, and Cruz is going to hold off Garrison. Austin Garrison, though, I think the veteran's probably not too happy with fast Frankie Mossman after that move of kind of hip checking him coming out of the hairpin. White flag in the air as Turney, you can see now, has gotten space. So has a Scorpione. Formal bearing down on Dalton Haynes. It'll be the battle for second on this final half lap. Into the hairpin, final time. Formal says focus forward. Dalton's not going to take the bait. He's going to go second. I think Danny, again, still knows he's not going to win. There's no bonus for second. Ride third, and he's got the pole, but he's got Levy trying to get one more spot. I think they'll be okay. Meanwhile, purple lap after purple lap for the number 340, Paulie Massimino, $500. He'll win heat number 2.
Yeah, really impressed with Paulie. Running purple laps without a draft out front, and we know how important the draft is at one of these tracks, especially in the KA category. But Danny Formal, I think with that, is going to get himself the pole. So I'll be interested to see what Danny can do in the feature starting from the front, what his strategy will be. We'll have to talk to him and see what he's thinking after that. Obviously, the changes he's made to his go-kart have worked, and Paulie will also be starting up front. He's got a first place and a 9th place, so that'll put him somewhere towards the front. So it'll be interesting to see these guys with a lot of speed versus the guys that kind of played it smarter through the heat races and where they'll end up in the main.
One thing to remember, though, is when you're out front like that, you don't have to push, and he's saving tires that whole time. And granted, he's turning purple laps. I doubt he's taking it easy, but it does save your tires quite a bit, and that's going to make a difference. The only big question for Paulie is you struggled getting through the field in the first heat. You didn't make a lot of passes. You're not going to be starting on the front row, at least in my rough calculations right now. You're going to be starting a few places back. Can you get those passes done? Can you work yourself back up into that front spot?
That's a good point because the gearing is different. Connor, you mentioned this in the pre-race show. We were talking about how important it is not only to have a good fast car, but a good race car. And that is two different things sometimes, to have the gearing to be able to race through a pack and the gearing where you can run maybe a lower gear and pull away. And here as well, looming over everybody during this 10-minute break, you saw the lightning off in the distance. We had crazy storms last night. Could that throw a wrench into everything? That would be something here to really add some tension to this one, Ryan.
It definitely would, and you're going to see the British driver, Danny. You're going to see a lot of these guys that have a lot of rain experience. And then obviously you got the locals as well. I mean, there's so much going on here. There's so many different storylines to follow. But yeah, Paulie Massimino, great run there. He got out front early. He was able to keep his nose clean. He got by Frankie Mossman, get his nose clean. He just put down some solid laps every single lap, and really showed he's got a kart that can win this race. Again, is it racy?
We don't know.
We will see, but it is fast.
It definitely is fast here. Dalton Haynes going by. He's also kind of stayed under the radar. I'll give him credit. That first heat race, he was kind of out of the chaos. That second heat gets P2 here, Connor. And that's someone here who, again, was fast through the heat races today. And we haven't talked to a ton, but you heard from him earlier, and obviously getting some high fives. That's a good heat for him.
Yeah, he's got to be happy with that. Running second place here with all these guys that are breathing down his neck. Danny came from the back and was almost was on his bumper there on the last lap. So Danny's got to be happy. Paulie's got to be happy, and Dalton's got to be happy as well. So seeing these guys as they come through the scales, some different emotions from some of these guys that had better heats versus worse heats. And I'll be interested to talk to some of these guys and see what their thoughts were and how that race kind of played out.
Yeah, we definitely got to talk to some of these guys. Connor Ferris obviously having that big incident early on in the race that really set him back. He was on his back foot the whole time. He's got to work his way through. Obviously Garrison there getting kind of the rough end of the deal with Frankie Mossman. A little bit of tension going on there. Definitely got to see what's going on, what each driver's opinion is on that situation. And then obviously Frankie Mossman started on the pole, and I think he ended barely inside the top 10. So really want to see what's going on with these drivers.
Yeah, I'm really looking at Joe Turney. He's kind of my sleeper guy. He always is lingering a little further back through practice, and I wonder if he's kind of got the same strategy here in the heat races where he's saving his stuff, making sure he's got a good piece for the feature. He got a 6th there and a 4th in the first heat race. So, he kind of finished in the mid-pack both heat races, but he's one of those guys that'll sneak up on you.
He's keeping the target off his back,
exactly.
Honestly. I mean, when you're looking at it, you're looking at the big targets. You got Danny, you got a bunch of guys that are pretty fast, but he's definitely one to pay attention to.
Well, let's talk about a guy who I don't know who has a big target on his head, and that is Dalton Haynes. Caleb Viesca's pulled him aside here in the infield, and Caleb, let's go ahead and send it back down to you to hear from our second-place finisher in Heat 2. He's got a smile on his face after that one. He's got to be feeling good, Caleb.
Thank you, Dalton. Thank you, Xander, with Mr. Dalton Haynes himself. Dalton finished second in that heat. That has to feel good.
Yeah, the first heat race, I was pretty disappointed. I mean, I can't say it because I hear it on the loudspeaker, but we had a big problem. We fixed it, and then I stayed second. Obviously started second, so definitely didn't want to go back. I fell back a couple positions, and I was like, like I got to cover myself. I got to learn how to drive a bit better. But after that setup change, I really had to adjust my driving for it because the kart was just horrible before, and now it's gotten a lot better. And I had to just drive it completely differently. So the first 3 or 4 laps, I was learning how to drive it. Then once I did that, picked up some pace. I'm going to make some minor tweaks now.
Yeah, of course. And let's just talk a little bit about your setup here. It's just you and your brother Roman here. You look around, you see all these other teams. They have 10 guys working off their karts at once, and it's you and your brother Roman. How much more does that motivate you? How much more does that make you want to win that extra money?
I mean, it definitely feels great knowing that, like, I don't have the support, yeah, but I do have quite a bit of support from Kart Sport. Brother's an amazing mechanic, dude. He's been setting my kart up on rails all weekend. I can't complain about it. But, I mean, yeah, like, it obviously is a big difference, but we've been here so much. I mean, like, me and my brother, when you have that relationship of working together for that many years, when I come off track, I say, we need to do this. It's like, I already know. Let's go. Change it. That's better. That relationship is much better than a relationship where you have 10 on a kart. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel that. Well, congrats to you, Dalton. I think you're starting high up on the grid. I do not know. They haven't fully calculated all at the moment, so I'm just as lost as you are at the moment. But congrats, and hope you do well this next race.
Thanks, man.
See if we can move on further. Looks like Ryan Norberg and Connor Zillich are back. Maybe Ryan's going to interview Danny this time, maybe?
Yeah, we'll head over right now. Obviously, some tension going on in the paddock here. Everybody's trying to work on their karts and everything. There's the whistle. That's the sign to start working on karts. And you can just take a look around, and you can see all these guys frantically working on their karts. That's you hear the guns. You hear everything going right now. We're going to try and stay down on this side of the grid so the speaker works. Maybe let's catch up with everybody's a little deep in conversation. I'm friends with these people, so it's hard for me to just get involved. There we go. Paulie Massimino, come on over here. Paulie. Very.
On your face this time.
It's still a frown. So you got out early. You got by Frankie. How was the racing with Frankie? Were you happy with what was going on? Did you anticipate it at all?
Yeah, I mean, I figured it was going to happen. It's just the way it is. I'd be doing the same thing, honestly. I was lucky that they didn't keep setting up, and I was able to set up because Aiden wasn't close enough to me, and I was able just to throw it on in. My plan wasn't to go 3 wide, but I felt like I had to.
I mean, it was a risky move, and it paid off a lot. I mean, obviously the drivers behind you kind of got into contact. You were able to get a good lead. We talked about it earlier. You struggled to make it through the field. You struggled a little bit passing some guys early. You were talking about, the racing's a bit rough. Didn't get the momentum going or whatever. Didn't want to crash the kart. Do you feel like your kart's racy? It's fast. Is it racy?
Yeah, my kart's definitely fast. Those guys over there are doing a phenomenal job. Kind of my fault in the first heat, but I really think we have pretty decent pace. Plan is to try and get to the front and do the same thing again and make some money.
Yeah, so I got one more question for you. After the first heat, you ended up 9th, and then you started up front. You started 4th there. Did you kind of have the mindset that I need to win this race, or were you just kind of going out there and trying to keep your kart underneath you and not get in any trouble?
Well, they all told me over there that the money's already spent, so I should probably win this heat.
Yeah, I told you that. I was the one that told you that there. You're really not going to go race for $4,000, so now you're going to go race for $4,000.
No, I don't think you understood. They said over at that tent that the money is already spent. So
I got you.
Got it?
I got you.
All right, let's get out of here. Okay, let's check in with Connor Ferris. Connor, can we speak to you for a second? What? Oh, well, that's normal. I ain't talking about that.
Yeah, as you can see, a little bit of different strategy. We got an ice chest here. We're putting our tires in the ice chest to cool them off in between these sessions, holding all the tires down in the water. Ryan Norberg's trying to get me away from the...
Connor, let's go over to Connor Ferris. Let's see what's going on. Connor.
Oh, come on,
Connor,
Ryan.
Early incident there. What happened? We saw you go wide into turn 1. Can you just tell us what happened there?
I got whacked pretty good from the kid behind me. Like, I don't know what we're doing on lap 2 or 3. Just go, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a tough race. You see a lot of contact out there. How do you feel your pieces right now? Do you have something that can work through the field and get you up front?
I don't think so, but we'll see what he does.
Okay. A lot of confidence there from Connor Ferris. Let's start moving around the paddock here. We got a thumbs up. Thanks, buddy. Let's see Austin Garrison. He had some more contact. G Speedy.
He looks happy.
Yeah, he doesn't look so happy.
He's talking to boss.
We're getting intimidated here out of a lot of these paddocks. You can talk to Brent.
Brent Cruz here. kind of made it up through the field there. Struggled a little bit compared to Danny and those other guys that made it up through the field a little bit quicker. Was the racing a little bit cleaner there? What did you think about how everyone was racing out there?
I mean, I thought it was okay. I mean, there's pretty much no rules beside the bumper, so I think everybody's using all they got. I just think I kind of picked the wrong lane every time. Still passed a couple carts and should start somewhere in the mid-pack, and hopefully they would like the white line.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in the final there. You know, you obviously are starting a little bit further back here. You making any setup changes to kind of give yourself some more gear or give yourself a better go-kart here? What are you thinking for the go-kart?
Yeah, I think we're going to mess a little bit setup-wise. I mean, we're obviously not the fastest, but I don't think we're as bad as that heat race really showed. I think we're a top 5 go-kart for sure, and we're going to keep tuning on it.
Well, sounds good. Brent Cruz is going to keep working on his thing and try and get to the front there in the final.
We got Joe Turney over here. Let's try and grab Joe. Mr. Turney, what do we got going on here? We got some hammers out, a lot of noise. What's going on here? Come over here, if you can.
A slight bent axle. I don't know when I did it. I think maybe in the chicane, I don't know. But hammer is the tool to use right now.
It looks like it. We've watched your races. Obviously, you started further towards the back this one. You're able to get up through the field. You're there. You know, you're not challenging for the win necessarily, but you're there. Is that strategy to maybe not put a target on your back early, or are we just trying to figure out the setup a little bit?
I wish I could say it was, but no, not at the moment. I mean, I don't know where I start. I mean, it's going to be a mess at the front, so hopefully I'm there and I can make my way through.
Okay, good luck. If there's anything I know about racing this guy is he doesn't show you all his cards till Sunday, so good luck. Oh, it's Friday, yeah, but the final. They get what I'm saying. Let's try and say a little bit more over here. Where's AJ? Is AJ around here? Doesn't look like it. Oh, there he is, AJ Myers. You are our Heat 1 winner. This heat, you had to start in the back. You were able to get up quite a few spots. I mean, it was still a good race. Obviously, Danny was able to finish in the top 3. That looks to be your closest, rival right now. What are you thinking?
We got a classic case of a shifter takeover. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think he's the fastest one out there. I'm going to try my best to get in front of that and go forward.
Oh, okay. Any setup changes, or are you guys just kind of happy with how it is right now?
We're doing some changes.
Okay, well, nice, man. Got to keep it a secret. That's the key. You can't tell anybody anything. If we could get a Scorpione, I'd like to talk to him. Yeah, we've got, who's it? Lemke. Oh, yeah, Lemke. Yeah, we haven't talked to Lemke. He had a bad accident in the beginning. You can see they're really working his car. This could be damage from the first race as well. It's definitely working on something over there. He got in that big accident in the first heat, and Connor, I mean, yeah, it really messed up the car. We can maybe grab him over there if you want to. Lemke, you want to talk? Here you go, Connor. Get it after this one.
Lemke, it's been a bit of an eventful night for you so far. You got like 6 people working on the back of your go-kart here. Kind of walk me through the first 2 heat races and what you've seen out there.
I mean, plain simple, I mean, we're just not at pace at all. So, I mean, I'm kind of holding everybody up on accident, but we're working on it. I'm kind of getting in everybody's way, but it is what it is. I think we're still figuring some stuff out, or I'm still figuring some stuff out driving-wise, but Kart's not doing what we're doing or what I want it to do, so they changed an axle, and yeah, they're working really hard. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Well, that's good. You're going to start a little further back, but obviously it's going to be a dogfight. We're racing for $4,000 here. We got 18 laps, so you got a lot of time to make it up. So if the kart gets better, do you think you'll be able to race with the guys?
Absolutely. I mean, with how aggressive they're going to be and everything, and blocking and passing back and forth, whatever. I mean, I think everybody's going to have a shot to win it. So it's really 50-50 up in the air, but I just hope it's us.
Good luck out there. We'll be watching you, and we never know what can happen.
I grabbed our next guest. I went ahead and, this is a kart chaser. I'm getting guests lined up. So Frankie Moss, man, you got the hair, a lot of humidity out here. You started full. You're in the lead. You defended. You opened up. They went 3 wide underneath you. You fell back, and then after that, we didn't see it on the screen so much. Didn't seem like it was a great race. What happened?
Just backwards, made the change after Heat 1. We were quick in Heat 1, but just kind of fell apart after that one.
So you're saying it was more chassis than like maybe bad positioning?
I think if I went to the Norberg Academy, it could have been a lot better, but I'm just not that good.
I appreciate the plug, Frankie. But obviously you're making some changes. Are you confident with your piece for this final?
I think it's going to be a lot better, and we're going to have a chance.
$4,000. Good luck. Okay, so right now, I mean, we've kind of made our way through the grid. You got the 2-minute warning right now. Xander's going to pass it right back to you.
All right, thanks, fellas. As you could hear, they're going to work their way back in. Check it out back in the booth here with me. I've got Caleb Vieska, Alexander Searle. They'll be with us here, and then you guys have been watching the racing. We've got our starting lineup. We knew the big man, Danny Formal, would be on pole. A.J. Myers completes a shifter driver lockout of row number 1. Paulie Massimino, Joe Turney, row 2. Aiden Levy, Dalton Haynes, row 3. It's Brent Cruz, Braden Eves on row 4. Adam Brickley, Scorpioni, row 5. Mossman, Lemke, row 6. Ferris, Garrison, all the way back in 14th. And then Jordan Hernandez and Anthony Rivera on the final row. What sticks out to you so far?
Yeah, I think obviously a big surprise here. Garrison starting in 14th. Seems like it wasn't the second heat that he would have won. It obviously seems like he had a little bit of issues there. So, yeah, Austin Garrison, definitely one that sticks out down in 14th.
What about you, Alex?
I mean, what sticks out to me, the 2 shifter guys, 1 and 2. I mean, putting the single speed guys in their place a little bit, showing how talented these guys really are. Then, like you said, with Garrison, kind of a big shock there. You know, one of the fastest drivers we've seen all year long. You know, starting P14 there, he struggled a little bit throughout the day in the KA senior class. You know, not as much in the IAME senior class, but in KA senior, seemed to have struggled here, and it's translating towards the shootout here.
You go from them to further back. You can see Joe Turney getting set to go as well. While we let our guest commentators make their way back into the booth, we want to remind all you viewers that are watching along on YouTube, who do you think is going to win this one here? Check it out on the YouTube live chat. We've got our poll going on as well. Joe Turney, A.J. Myers, Danny Formal. Those guys start first, second, and fourth, or someone else. Right now, the big man's got 35% of your votes so far. Keep on sending them in. We'll announce who we think or who you think is going to win this one. But we've got our starting grids here as Ryan and Connor join me back in the booth. Fellas, we've got the lineups for you to look on through of where everybody starts. What sticks out the most here from the grids from what you can see here, Ryan and Connor? Ryan?
So to be honest, I mean, it seems like the cream has risen. What's the saying here?
Cream has risen to the top.
There you go. I got it. It seems as that's happened because all of our fast drivers are starting up the front. Sometimes you don't see that. Sometimes our fast driver, have an accident. You're looking at Paulie Massimino starting third. That's much higher than I was anticipating. Joe Turney in fourth. Danny Formal in first, A.J. Myers in second. I did a really bad way of explaining how they're lining up on the grid there. But, yeah, that's your top 4, and that is a strong top 4. I mean, these are the 4 fastest guys we've seen all 3 heats. These have been the dominant players the whole time.
Yeah, I saw Paulie and Danny talking on the grid, maybe talking some strategy. Obviously, those 2 guys were the fastest in the 2 heat races, so maybe they took note of that and wanted to work together and get out front. Making this a 2-man battle is a lot better than having it be a 5-man battle, so maybe some strategy plays into this, and we get 2 guys that check out.
And as we look a little bit further back into the field, you've got Brent Cruz in 7th and Braden Eves in 8th. These are 2 sleeper drivers I have on my list of guys. They're outside of the top 4, but this race is going to get hectic. I mean, it's so many possibilities. So there's something that's going to definitely happen, and those guys are going to be able to take some advantage of some of those opportunities.
Well, we got to make one decision here, folks. First of all, let's go through again the lineup once again for those of you voting along at home. Make sure to continue to send those in, and we'll update you on the poll as the numbers continue to drive in. Obviously, the big man starting on pole, he's looked the strongest, had the target on his back throughout all of this here. I like the odds of Paulie Massimino, and you know what? I think he's due. He's been close. He's won one of these before in the X30 shootout, and he always finds a way to seemingly get through the chaos. I believe in the North Carolina-based BJR MDR driver. Connor, who do you got?
It's a tough one to pick, but I'm going to go pretty plain here, and I'm going to take Danny Formal. I mean, he's a master. He's been racing for so long. He understands the game. He understands how to block, how to keep it out front. So as simple as it may be, I'm going to take Danny on this one.
Ryan? I think I'm going to go with the guy that eats the curbs is going to eat the competition. That's Danny Formal, the Costa Rican.
Man, you can't pick the same guy as me.
You got to pick something else.
It's my teammate. I only
All right,
I'll
pick someone else. I'll take some. I'm going to take Joe Turney then.
Okay.
The guy from the UK, the guy knows how to race, and this is going to be a dogfight. I don't think speed's going to matter, so he might have been talking about being a little off pace here or there, but I think Joe Turney is going to be the guy that races to the front and finds himself out front at the end.
All right, well, we've got about 30 seconds for each of you here on the warm-up lap for the drivers to get in the zone. It's one thing to race through the heats, to know the big race is coming, to be through the skirmish and everything, but to race for $4,000 or $5,000 with nothing else on the line that matters, bring the steering wheel back or bring that big check. You both have won this race. Connor, you've won it twice in KA. What is the secret? What are they thinking right now? What do they need to be thinking?
The way I've always raced these races, you got to be out front. You got to control the race, and I think that's the the main thing that when you're going out in these high-intensity, longer races, you got to keep it out front. You can't let momentum start going backwards or else guys are going to eat you up because everybody – it doesn't matter if you finish second or third. You're here to win. So these guys are going to try and take advantage of that and try and get to the lead. So if someone passes me for the lead, I'm passing them right back. I'm not giving any space or anything. I got to be in the lead in these races.
Well, we'll get Ryan's input on how it happens once we go green because they're ready to go. Danny Formal, AJ Myers. It's not Pro Shifter. It's the CNC Performance Engineering KA Shootout. $4,000, 16 drivers. We're underway down to turn number 1. And look at the run from AJ all the way around the outside. He'll get into the lead into turn number 3 as they scramble into the opening hairpin. They're 2 and 3 abreast further back. Somehow, though, we're all good into the infield for the very first time, Ryan.
You said it wrong, Xander. He got the whole shot. That's what you call it in shifter racing. AJ's already down to the inside. Myers, Formal, Turney, your top three experienced drivers. Massimino in fourth. Ooh, AJ a little bit into the dirt. These drivers are stacking up a little bit, going through the chicane. Connor, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm interested to see what AJ's plan is. Is he going to start blocking like we've seen in the heat races, or is he going to try and build himself a bit of a gap with Danny? He knows, oh, and there he goes, straight to the bottom. Lap number 1. We got 18 to go, and we're already blocking. So we'll see how long that lasts and if these guys' strategy starts to change as we get further into this race.
I wonder, Paulie Massimino right now setting up for that outside move. He's going to try and get to the outside of turn. He thought better of it, falling back in line. Now it's a 2-driver battle out front, but AJ down to the inside. Massimino down to the inside. You got 5 drivers, nose to tail. Brent Cruz, that's the sleeper pick I was telling you about. He's working his way through the field. A scrappy driver, that's a guy who likes these situations. You know, he's going to make it work. He might not have the speed, but he's going to find a way to get his Kart up front.
Yeah, Brent Cruz is known as one of Trackhouse Motorplex's success stories. Started racing here in kid karts about 10 years ago. Well, not only was he racing here about twice as much, he was racing about 30 minutes down the road at a dirt track known as Millbridge Speedway. And that is all about packed up racing for a lot of money in a short amount of time as the big man sends it on AJ Myers, and we're 2 by 2. Myers back to 4th. Brent's on the outside, Turney on the outside. Formal takes it all the way low, and man, oh man, are we side by side for every position it feels like. Danny Formal over Turney. Massimino hangs it tough. He'll get into second.
Yeah, Turney's just going to slot into third. He knows that if he lets Danny get out front with a bit of a gap, he could pull away. So Turney playing the smarter move there, just tucking in line. As they all go to the bottom for second place, they're just letting Danny get out front. So bold strategy from Paulie. We'll see if it pays off.
This is the one thing you've got to remember as a winner yourself. Connor, you know there's no money for – I mean, there's money for second, but there's no winning for second. So you've got to put your pride aside and chase down the leader.
I don't know what Paulie's doing. This is crazy from Paulie. You know Turney's behind you. You know he's a smart driver. He's going to work with you. So just kind of set in line and go.
At this point, I would just take care of it and let the officials tell me I didn't win $4,000 at this point. You've got to try and get back to the lead. There you see Braden Eves going to the inside of Brandon Lemke. That's moving him to the 7th or 8th position. He's right behind Brent Cruz, another strong mover. But AJ Myers, your outside starter who got the whole shot, got into lead. He's now just getting passed by Brent Cruz. He didn't think he had that much speed, but he's going to try and stay there for this race. Danny Formal stretching out that lead.
Yeah, we're really starting to see these 2 guys that we knew were the fastest kind of rise to the top and start pulling away, getting their gap here. Danny's got about 5 car lengths as Paulie's got about 2 to Joe Turney behind him. So we'll see if Paulie can run down Danny, and if he does, what really is his plan when he catches up to him.
I'll give everybody credit in the audience so far. They're with you, Ryan. They picked the big man. 35% of you believe Danny Formal is going to win this one. A half-second lead. That's a lot on this short racetrack. It's coming down, though. Your update further back, as you saw for a moment, the rest of the field starting to line back up again as we've strung them out here, Ryan.
Yes, exactly. And right now you've got the second fastest driver, I'd say, was Danny Formal, and the fastest driver right behind him right now going purple, Paulie Massimino, running him down. Now, it wasn't that much faster. It was about almost half a tenth of a second there, but he is running him down with 14 laps to go. That's enough of time to make up and to catch Danny.
Ryan, I kind of want to ask you here what you thought of Paulie's move of getting into second place and then starting to defend for second place. What do you think about that, and what would you have done differently?
Obviously, you know, we're sitting on the outside. Joe dropping a tire there, getting a little wide. That's going to put him into the clutches of Dalton Haynes. But in that scenario, it's like I said, it's all for the win. We're not racing for second here. We've got to try and get forward, and there is something to trying to keep your momentum going forward and staying up front. But even those blocks, throw a half block and
show the guy behind you, you can ruin our race. I'm going to throw a half block here, say I don't want you to pass me, but you can ruin our race if you want to. But I'm going to leave that up to you because right now I'm focused on running Danny down. But Paulie, I mean,
he's got the speed,
he's got
so
the
what's
speed.
it matter?
He's running him down, so maybe he's going to show us what it actually means.
And all credit to him, outside of going low in turn 3, he only was about a lane off the line in turn 1 or turn number 11. And for Paulie Massimino here, this is the one race, the only race in the last 2 years he's gotten any kind of a win at that X30 Pro Shootout in 2021. His last main event win in a KA Senior, came back in his last full-time run running it, and that was all the way back in the Super Nationals. As yellow flags are underway, this is for a wreck further back. We're not sure exactly where it was. They were down in turn number 1. I'm trying to see who we've lost, and it looks like it might have been Anthony Rivera, and the 921 Energy is out of the race in turn 1. Unfortunate for Anthony, but look at this battle for the lead coming together. 2 car lengths between Massimino and the big man.
And as crazy as this may feel, we're not even halfway through this race yet. So really, what's Paulie's plan, do you think, going to be as he catches Danny? You think he's going to try and work with him until the end, or you think he's going to try and get himself in the lead?
The problem is you have 2 completely separate backgrounds here. You have a shifter driver and you have a KA driver. One, I would think Danny's probably going to want to stay out front. He's going to want to lead this race. Where Paulie, he knows the KA routine. You can get in second and you can ride that the whole race and you can make a move on the last lap and you can still win this race. The only thing, if I'm Paulie, I do not want to be behind Danny when he starts blocking. That big man is a hard man to move, a hard man to get by.
Yeah, they're going to come this time by here to the halfway marker, and he'll have to make that decision because while Paulie does have the fastest lap, the rest of that top 5 have also started to even out their pace in the 40.8s. In fact, last time by, that entire group was spread by 1/10 and a quarter. Joe Turney, Dalton Haynes, Aiden Levy, who wrecked in heat number 1, they're all even enough to the leaders. That time they lost a little bit. In fact, they might battle soon. Massimino, you saw him check the margin with 9 laps to go. How long do you want to wait? Again, you hope that you're counting the laps in your head if you're Paulie, and you go by Danny when he's 5 to go, maybe 6 to go. Enough time where it's too early for him to consider blocking, but too late for him to get back to you and trigger a battle, or again, buy you some more laps to follow him and keep that gap big.
And obviously we're paying attention to this lead battle right now. Danny and Paulie, they're checking away, but you've got those 3 drivers behind you. They're not racing as of now. And they're probably going to work together and just stay in that spot. They don't have the pace to keep up with the front 2 when they're linked up like that. But if things start to go south, if Danny starts to run the inside line, that's going to bring all the drivers all the way through. The 3 car public drivers. And right as soon as I say that, Dalton Haynes makes a pass. I think I'm just cursing all these guys. This is the commentator's curse. He's waving ahead saying, let's move forward. I honestly think that was the right move. Dalton was the faster of this group the past couple laps. So, possibly they can get close to this group, if it does come down to it in the past couple laps. But Paulie has caught Danny. He got into the draft, and it looks like he's going to do the KA route where he's going to start pushing. Again,
we'll see if you curse that one too.
Yeah. Now you guys understand what it's like to be in my shoes here. I keep thinking I know what you guys are going to do, and then I get it wrong every time. Now, that being said, in Paulie's case here, there's a big benefit. We've seen a few guys be able to win races, including himself, by riding behind. You are able to drive a little bit under the limit because the toe takes you back up to that guy's bumper on the straightaways, but you're backing off early in the turns to not run him over in the braking zone. So, in theory, his tires and in general, his equipment is just a little bit fresher because he can kind of coast in the wake of Danny, and he produces a pretty big wake.
He does. But like you're seeing right now, I think Paulie's just trying to assess where's Danny fast, where can you get him, where can I make this move. The thing that I'm seeing, though, is it's a big accordion effect. You're seeing Paulie close up on the straightaways. He's getting to the infield. He's starting to lose it again. He's closing back up on the straightaways, getting to the infield, and losing it. And even though Danny doesn't have eyes in the back of his head, he's got eyes in the back of his head. He knows where he's fast. He's hearing the engine get closer. He's hearing it fall away. He knows where he's faster than Paulie, and he knows I've got to cover this spot off. And if I can make it to turn 3 or make it to turn 4, I'm going to win this race.
Check this out here. Change for 4th. Aiden Levy's gone by on Joe Turney. 2 laps ago, Massimino and Formal did a new best lap at a 40.6 and a 40.7 to add to the margin. It's a 2.5 seconds back. But all that said, they've shuffled the field a little further down the order. Braden Eves has also gotten away a little bit with the help of Austin Garrison in 6th and 7th, but we're kind of just staying on these top 2 drivers And for Danny Formal, well, the last time he was racing here at Trackhouse Motorplex was in that Rental Kart Tuner Challenge a year ago. And, of course, he was able to pull one off there to get the big-time win. So he's been under the lights this kind of racing before. Here's a look at the side-by-side shot of the two different battles we're keeping our eyes on. Big part of your screen, first and second, bottom corner, third, fourth, and fifth. And Massimino this time better out of that hairpin, I think, than he's been in a couple of laps as he sparks it over the infield there, Connor.
Yeah, I think an 18-lap race here really changes the dynamic of what these drivers' strategies are coming in. If it was, an 8 to 10, 12-lap race, we might see a little bit more aggression, but with this 18-lap race, we're getting the field a little bit spread out here as Danny and Paulie are obviously the smarter of the drivers as they get to the front and they work together. And they're going to work together, and we'll see when Paulie makes his move as it's 5 to go right now. And if he lets it get to 2 to go, that might be a bold decision because Danny obviously knows how to block.
Right now, if you're looking over the fence, you're seeing Paulie's team giving him the push sign. Let's work together. Let's try and stretch this out. But right now, I'm looking at it. They got a good gap. They can start racing, and they'd probably be fine all the way to the finish there. This section right here, this is where Danny does the best. He just eats that curb, and look at the gap he pulled. Paulie was on his bumper coming out of the hairpins, and then Danny just pulls this nice, strong gap through there. And that's not really a passing zone either. So that's an area that Danny's, paying attention to. The real question is, when do you pull the trigger and go to the white line? Because if Paulie passes, he's going down. It's one of those things. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you go too early, you might lose the race. If you go too late, you might lose the race.
Well, let's see it here with 2.5 laps to go. Again, Paulie's close enough where on the last lap you think Danny might block, knowing that a bonsai move would come. But by the time Paulie makes up all that ground for losing of what he loses by not being able to jump the curb as good as Formal here, he's not in there enough time to get by. Now this time, a little bit better right when he needed to. He's a car length back. It's 2 laps to go. Little mistake in that last turn from Formal as he clipped the inside curb. Here comes Paulie down to turn 1, Connor.
Yeah, and we're seeing Paulie. He's fast, but he's fast in the wrong places. He catches Danny at the wrong time as you see Danny go to the bottom. We're 2 to go here. Danny's starting to defend as he looks back, sees he has only one driver behind him, and he's taking that into account. He's got to be aware of his surroundings, know what he's dealing with here.
You're going to see him go all the way down to the inside, and right now Paulie's got a good run off the hairpin. He's going to go to the outside. Oh, we got drivers around.
Eves and Myers, they've collided. Meanwhile, for the lead, Formal was able to hold off that crossover move, but Braden Eves and A.J. Myers get together. They were 6th, 7th, and 8th along with Austin Garrison. White flag in the air for Danny Formal by 2 car lengths.
Yeah, and we're still seeing this. Paulie's catching him in the wrong places, but fortunately for him, Danny's getting back down to the bottom, and he's going to close that gap right back up.
Danny's going to take no risk at this moment. It's all or nothing. So Danny is covering off every spot. Here we go, down into the turn number 4. Danny to the bottom of the racetrack. Paulie to the outside. Danny a little bit sideways on the brakes. Paulie, the over-under.
Oh!
Is he going to get him? They're side by side. Danny's not going to give it up. They're contact.
Oh!
2 drivers around. Danny's through.
Danny's
he's got a big enough gap.
Inside.
He's going to be good.
Yeah.
Danny's still going to have a big enough gap. He's going to hold the lead here as we go 1 corner to go.
Formal's hand in the air. You put it in the officials' hands. Do they let him keep it? Danny Formal across the line wins the 4,000. Dalton Haynes will get 2nd. Joe Turney will get 3rd. But could you imagine what is going on in the race director's head right now? Holy moly, Danny Formal and Paulie Massimino collide on that final lap. You knew neither one's backing out. The money's on the line, and Paulie ends up spun and backwards.
The only thing I'm really wondering is why was Danny putting his hand up after he's about to win the race? Did you think he's going to get a penalty? Maybe his bumper's in? Who knows?
I don't know. I mean, in that situation, no one's going to give it up. I mean, everybody's staying right next to each other, side by side, not wanting to give an inch. And I mean, at that moment, I might be a little biased, but
I was going to say bias is kicking in here.
It's tough to really call something in that instance.
I mean, it's hard. You put both of those guys in either scenario there, Danny or Paulie, and you flip the roles, and you don't expect either one of those guys to back out of it. We're going to continue to let the scale lines roll on through here as off comes one of the other BJR MDR carts. I don't know if that one's Paulie's rolling right by us, coming through the scale area. There it is, indeed. Massimino pulled in on that final lap.
You got to feel bad for him. He's got to be frustrated after that one. And it kind of brings us back to the point of should he have made the move sooner and gotten to the lead and controlled the race?
It's hard to say. I mean, at either case there, that these guys were going to be going at it. And if he goes to the lead, he's asked to block, and the same move happens
he
there.
Looks
but
pissed.
Paulie Massimino not happy and understandable. I mean, he worked his tail off. And so this is what it is.
We need
here.
a hot mic for this one.
Yeah, so they're going to go and chat with each other about that one. Danny obviously saying, look, man, I was on the inside. Paulie saying, I get it, but you drove all the way into me. And neither one of them, it doesn't matter who wins this argument, because at the end of the day, not only they got to line up tomorrow alongside each other, but they're not the ones that'll make the call here of what happens at the aftermath of this one. The only thing Paulie Massimino unfortunately has to walk away with is a DNF in this main event, and granted he deserved definitely a good paycheck after that one, because what a performance and fireworks under the lights here. This is exactly the type of racing we expect from these shootouts, and honestly it's been a miracle that we haven't had a wreck like that for the win in the first 4 iterations, Ryan.
Yeah, it has. I mean, we've had some.
Well, we have.
Yeah,
Remember Ryan wrecked me in 8?
I was going to say.
Okay, all right, but that was in a heat race.
Way to bring that.
No, that was in the feature.
Oh, you're right. Oh, you're right. That was in the feature.
That was in the
you're
feature.
right.
But Danny Formal right there.
You're right.
Getting some applause from the team. Definitely drove a strong race there.
I'm kind of surprised he's not happier. You know, I kind of would expect. Oh, there's the emotions. But obviously, Paulie came up to him upset. I'm not going to say rightfully so, but I mean,
you can't blame him.
You can't blame the guy, right?
In either
We're
shoes,
racing
you
for money.
understand it, right? You know, Paulie wasn't going to give up. Danny wasn't going to give up. That's
Racing
what this
incident.
tight racetrack is all about, is going for it. What the officials do is what they do, but what we do know is unofficially Danny Formal is $4,000 richer here with this main event win, and we're going to see if we can get a word in with him and hear from him after what has been such a trying night for everybody under the lights. You can see our camera crew trying to just navigate the crowd and who we can chat with after that one. We'll see who we can talk to as this one's all wrapped up. There's Danny getting all the congratulations with the RPG team.
Did you win the shootout last year? Who won the You won the shootout last. So this is RPG's second win. I was going to say it's their first win for a shootout race, but first KA. Well, I've swept KA the last 2 years. I had to let someone else win this time.
First in KA.
Well, we're going to try and grab Danny Formal to bring him on over. We got to get him into the range where we make sure we can hear him on the microphone, so that's why we had to pull him a little bit away. Here he is. Oh.
No, clean, completely clean.
All right,
good.
so there we go. So we're getting the official word. It is all good. Danny Formal is the official main event winner here in KA Senior Shootout presented by CNC Performance Engineering. Danny, Caleb, let's send it to you boys.
Thank you, Xander. Danny took the win there. How does it feel, man?
Well, first off, I want to apologize to Paulie. That was a racing incident. He drove a very smart race. If anything, I had a gap, and he caught me. He drove smart. Me and him talked right before the race. You know, he went on top of the curb. I was inside and, you know, went to the corner, and we were both there, and he turned into the corner, and I was already there. I apologize for ruining his race, but extremely grateful for RPG. Got KA race to win a KA, the shootout, the biggest race of the year. It's fantastic. It's my first race ever in KA, so to come away with a win like this is amazing. Thank you to BBS, thank you to RPG, thank you to my mechanic, Chris, everyone under the tent that was helping in the shootout. Every single mechanic RPG had part of this. Super excited. You know, I lost all the weight to make the weight. I raced with a 6-pound weight on the go-kart, so happy with that. And yeah, we'll see what happens.
Big congrats, Danny.
Thank you.
Back to you, Xander.
All right, there you hear from the big man after that one. And class act interview from Danny Formal there. First thing, obviously, talking about, you know, Paulie driving a great race. And this is, again, why this guy is, you know, the top-tier professional that he is, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, Danny is a champion from years and years and years. I mean, the guy hasn't stopped winning since he started racing. And so, yeah, you see that experience play out right there, and you see him really showing why he is who he is. And yeah, I mean, for him to go down there and to talk to Paulie after, I mean, yeah, it shows the kind of driver he is.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what Paulie has to say about that. Obviously, he's going to be frustrated with how the race went, but you know, he still ran a great race, ran a smart race. It's unfortunate what happened on the last lap, but that's racing, and especially when you're racing for big paychecks, that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, and in those situations, I definitely wouldn't think about it. But right now, we've got an interview. Let's go down to Caleb and see what he has to say.
Thank you, Xander. Here with Dalton Haynes. Dalton, the beneficiary of that incident between Danny Formal and Massimino. How are you feeling after that race?
Holy. Oh, my God, dude. I was just keeping my head. I told my brother before we went out for the shootout. I don't know if I'm going to be but I'm just keeping the cart clean. You know what I mean? Like, I need to have a cart for tomorrow. I mean, I don't have the budget to just, let's get new tubes, you know? I'm not even on my go-kart. It's Kart Sports Kart. They gave me a great deal. And, I mean, I'm feeling really good. Huge thanks to Eric Jones for the cart, and I'm feeling really good. I mean, I felt amazing. The race, I mean, I hadn't even gotten into the race. It's just, it's a blur. I mean, I was just keeping my pace consistent. It was me, Levy, and Turney, and I passed Levy, I think, early on, and then pulled away from him. Took a while to pass Turney, and then I finally got him. And then Levy came back. Levy was really quick. He passed me. I knew Paulie and Formal were going. I wasn't worried about them. I was just worried about hitting my marks, not wrecking the go-kart. Levy passed me. I saw he pulled away big time for like 2 corners, and I was like, well, I saw the 2 laps to go, and I was like, well, I got to send it, you know. So going into the hairpin cutoff, whatever the kid car layout, I just sent it in, braked smooth, not too hard or anything, because I didn't want to touch him or hit him, and I didn't touch him, and got the pass, and then defended there, and then obviously, like you said, beneficiary of Formal and Paulie. I mean, it sucks for Paulie. I don't even know what happened. I was too focused on the guys behind me, but I had a great time.
Sounds good. Obviously, you're not done for the weekend. You have one more race tomorrow in the X30 Shootout. How are you feeling going into that?
I mean, my pace in X30 was amazing. I was more confident in X30 than I was in KA. I just had a horrible qualifying. Qualified 14th, and I was consistently faster than the leaders. I got up to 6th, I think. I might have been 5th with someone having a penalty. But, I mean, so far this weekend's been super clean and just making my way through.
Sounds good. Congrats, Dalton.
Thanks, man.
Back to you, Xander.
You can hear it in his voice. Dalton Haynes is exhausted. That is a lot of work, but for him and his brother Roman, that goes a long way. He was the heartthrob story from 2021 with the amazing performance that he was able to put on with a pole award in qualifying and to be able to drive through the field to get onto the podium there on what was their last potential race weekend. And now he finds himself with a big check as a part of the podium top 3. One driver, unfortunately, not part of it, but a great battle all the way to the end. Paulie Massimino is now standing by here with Caleb Vieska. Caleb?
Thank you, Xander. Obviously, Paulie, not the end of the race that you would have won. Just walk me through what happened there.
I got crashed.
Sounds good. Obviously, X30 for you tomorrow. How are you feeling going into that?
Yeah, feeling good. I really thought I had a shot in that. In the video, this thing.
Walk closer to us. Walk closer towards us.
In the video, you can clearly see all 4 of his tires, and he's just dump trucking me. Takes out my rear, not even close to side-by-side at all, and, you know, I'm pretty disappointed in the way Danny drove that last lap. I definitely showed him respect. Even the lap before, he was getting into the side of me. I don't know why. We were the quickest 2. No matter what, we were finishing 1 and 2, and, yeah, so sucks. Still have the KA final to look after. I think we got good speed, and very happy with the team. I thank them a lot. Without them, it's not possible, but, yeah, just very disappointed.
Yeah, obviously, a lot to look forward to tomorrow, so best of luck in that, Paulie.
Thanks.
Back to you, Xander.
Well, you can hear it in his voice, folks. It's not the way Paulie Massimino wanted to end this one, but nonetheless, he put on a show, and he goes into tomorrow with a lot of speed and confidence, and, of course, that X30 shootout to look after as well. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back for more here, folks, live from Trackhouse Motorplex, it'll be the podium ceremonies from the KA100 Shootout presented by CNC Performance Engineering. All right, everyone, we're going to go ahead and get set for podium ceremonies for our top 3 in the CNC Performance Engineering KA100 Shootout. It is fireworks all the way to the end here in these shootout races for 4 $500 already went the way of AJ Myers, $500 to Paulie Massimino. We're going to get everyone over by the podium area and give away a lot of cash here in just a few moments. Paging Dalton Haynes and Joe Turney to the podium. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started with podium ceremonies for the CNC Performance Engineering KA Shootout. Fireworks to end the night here and a cash prize for everyone in the top three. First up, third place here in the KA Shootout. At the end of it all, Joe Turney. And so while it's not the $4,750 here to the Chad Duncan Racing Factory Kart Republic driver, second place here, another Kart Republic on the podium, P2, Dalton Haynes. And so $1,500 here in the CNC Performance Engineering KA Shootout to Dalton Haynes for second. And finally, your winner in one start on the year, well, it's a $4,000 start. Your main event winner, Danny Formal. And with that, we'll get the trophies, the checks here, the coolest trophies in all of karting, those CNC Performance Engineering pistol trophies. And we'll go ahead and give it up one more time from our crowd. That is your podium from the KA Shootout. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, it wraps up our evening. There you see the big man walking away. $4,000 to Danny Formal, $1,500 to Dalton Haynes in second, $750 to Joe Turney. It wraps up night one of 3. The coverage continues first thing tomorrow afternoon to run it all back with 2 full heat races on an alternate track layout and the ever enticing MG Tires X30 Pro Shootout with $5,000 on the line. You heard from Ryan Norberg. He's going to need to race his way in after a bad heat 1. It all kicks off at 1:20 p.m. Eastern tomorrow.